Keene on a yearly basis, and it basically requires all of us to go to. So we are going to do a live show that's coming up a little bit later on. But to start things out here tonight, I wanted to, since we had Derrick J. Freeman on the show last night, that he made his triumphant return to Free Talk Live after a couple of years off the air. I wanted to give you a little bit more Derrick J. Maybe you're new to Free Talk Live and you'd never heard Derrick before last night. There's actually a really great interview of him that was conducted at this year's Liberty Forum event. Now, the Liberty Forum is the yearly convention, although they missed a year, I think, in 2011, but mostly yearly convention that the Free State Project puts on it's like a hotel convention right in the middle of wintertime in downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. And it just happened about 3 or so weeks ago. It was early this month. And Vin Armani, who is our occasional co-host on Free Talk Live, he does his own show called Destination Unknown with his co-host Dave Butler. And Vin has sort of taken over the role of what we used to do at Free Talk Live at that event. Was we used to broadcast from the Liberty Forum. And so Vin kind of took that over and did a great job with it. He actually did about 15 hours worth of broadcasting on video, actually. So he kind of took it to the next level. We never did video casting from there, and he's done that. And I was looking through the videos just to see who he interviewed, and I posted all of them on freekeen.com, so if you wanted to see the whole thing, you can do that. But my favorite interview was his interview of Derrick J. Freeman. And so it's one Free Talk Live host, Vin, interviewing another Free Talk Live host on a show that's not Free Talk Live. It's Destination Unknown, their special edition from the Liberty Forum. I just thought it was such a great interview. They cover Derrick J's Victimless crime spree, which, of course, Derrick J., that's his infamous movie about civil disobedience, his documentary film that we put together here in Keene. They kind of, go back to that and talk about that. And then they talk about the great work that the folks that Derrick and his partner Stephen are doing over at AnyPay.global to help local businesses across the world accept cryptocurrency. So it's a great interview. With no further ado, I present to you the interview of Derrick J. Freeman from the folks at Destination Unknown. You can get more of them over at vinarmani.com. Here it is.
Well, we are back here at Liberty Forum, and we are actually joined by, luckily enough, we are joined by the star of Derrick J's Victimless crime spree, Derrick J. Freeman.
Hey, Vin.
Welcome.
Hey, Dave.
How's it going? Welcome. A lover of liberty, a fellow crypto savage.
Yeah,
is here joining us,
and liver of liberty,
lover, and liver. Yeah. Love it, and live it.
That's what we do here in New Hampshire. Once you get here, you live liberty every day.
Yeah. Before I was just loving it from afar, but now I feel it's my sweet Valentine.
I love that.
There you go.
I love that. So, the Victimless crime spree.
Mm-hmm.
This was quite the adventure for you. So the people who are watching the stream have seen a little bit of your past history. They can go and absolutely watch the entire documentary, as I think that they should. In the time that we have with you, where I hope that we can cover some of the things that you're doing now especially. But just on that note, if you could just give people a sense of what that experience was like for you, what you pulled out of it. It's... Because it seems pretty traumatic and pretty harrowing.
Well, everyone comes to New Hampshire for the Free State Project in a different way, and I was attracted because I saw videos on YouTube of people doing civil disobedience. And this is not everyone's path, but this was mine. And so when I came here, I had the experience of being arrested for standing up for nonviolent crimes like having pot out in the park or videotaping inside of a courtroom. And just saying no when they told me you're not allowed to do that, just doing it anyway because I knew I was in the right. I wasn't doing any harm to anybody, and so I felt like if my conscience is clear, then I'll be okay in the end. And that's actually what happened. I was facing like 10 years in jail.
Oh wow.
All total for the different crimes that I committed in just a span of 6 months, and that was such a huge wake-up call that, like, this can happen. Not everyone is going to have this experience when you move to New Hampshire. It's pretty rare.
Well, it was something that
like,
you chose. You chose to participate in this as a form of direct action and civil disobedience.
Yeah, and if I'm being totally honest, I was a little bit dumb too, because when I moved, I was like 21.
Right.
And we all do things when we're 21
Sure.
that like we should all have the support structure that I was lucky to have when I moved here. People, come to the jail and even went to like the judge's house in one case where they like sang Christmas carols out in front of his house. Just make it really personal, So it was personal in that level. Most people aren't going to have that kind of support where other people get you philosophically and want to go to the cop who arrested you's house and say like, hey, Mrs. Cop, did you know that your husband just beat up this kid today? Because, what if everyone did that? It is troubling, but it's not wrong to do.
Right.
It's uncomfortable to face that reality. Like, the bread on your table came from beating someone up today.
Right.
Now, did you have a history with civil disobedience actions before you came to New Hampshire, or was that something that you started after you got to New Hampshire?
Yeah, I always loved it. One of my first jobs out of college was working for Greenpeace.
Okay.
And so I was so inspired by these people who would just climb up to the top of a massive statue and drop down a banner that's like, recycle your computer parts. Right. Or whatever their message is, but it gets attention and it's not wrong.
Right.
It's like it causes a little bit of a nuisance, but you're not doing anything immoral. It may be a crime, and in most cases it was like a property crime of trespassing. But with the state, I think it's I don't know. I've changed my position on this. I used to think it was immoral for the state to ban you from their property, but really, if a cartel owns a piece of property, that's legitimately theirs.
Sure.
They're going to protect it with their guns. That's legit to a degree.
So you have, and this was something we were talking about beforehand, and I love it, and I want to get into this. You've, in your time here in New Hampshire, have been able to sort of make your way and make your mark in the way that you wanted to sort of craft your own reality. One of the so we just had Pete Raymond on here, and he told me that the highlight so far of the event was being able to buy alcohol with Bitcoin just right outside here, right? He said that was the absolute highlight for him so far, which is being done with AnyPay point of sale, which is, your company. Talk to us a little bit about your path from the victimless crime spree,
respected business owner.
Yes, to a respected businessman.
Respected by some. So the path is that I believe that for me, I have to live in accordance with my conscience, and I know that when I use Federal Reserve notes or money that's backed by guns, I'm helping to perpetuate and literally empower the wars that are fought in my name, and I'm against that. I don't want wars against innocent people and bombs blowing up children overseas. I don't want to be responsible for that, but I am if I use their money, because that's how that's funded. And so when I heard about Bitcoin, first of all, I used silver, like back before I moved to New Hampshire, to trade with friends and buy pot and stuff. You could actually use silver if they'll take it. So I was like, great, cool, let's do that. Or I bought pizza. It's something more, respectable. And
pot's pretty respectable nowadays.
Sure. So I wanted an alternative to state money, and when Bitcoin came along, I was like, this is it. This is so good. You can transfer it person to person, pretty much anonymously like cash. It can go long distances, it's divisible, it's got all the great qualities of money that I would want. So I thought everyone was going to use this. Like, oh, great, come on, libertarians, we've got this alternative. Tomorrow, the state ends.
Right.
But it didn't happen fast enough. There were, I would ask businesses if they would take it, and it was not legitimate. So, my friend and I, my partner Steven, we made this app, and it helps make it easy for businesses to take cryptocurrency.
There's more coming up from the interview with Derrick J. Freeman, conducted by Vin Armani, on the way here on Free Talk Live. Plus, our live show will kick off soon, tonight, on Free Talk Live. This is Free Talk Live, and we are not quite live yet tonight due to all of the co-hosts needing to be in the same meeting. We are going to be kicking off our live show coming up here in a little bit as soon as we get back. So stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, we're going to continue with a special interview of Derrick J. Freeman, who made his return appearance to Free Talk Live last night. If you missed that show, go download it over at freetalklive.com. Vin Armani from Destination Unknown, along with his co-host Dave Butler from the Liberty Forum, had done a great interview of Derrick J., and I thought it was so good it deserved to get played on the radio, so we're going to do that here, continue with that interview in just a moment. But I also want to remind you about Freedom's Phoenix. They are a liberty-oriented news aggregation site. If you want the newest and freshest stories and perspectives on current events from those who value liberty, then freedomsphoenix.com has them. Their daily dispatch is the best way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. It's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. That's freedomsphoenix.com. As we continue with the excellent interview of Free Talk Live co-host Derrick J. Freeman. You may remember him from the Victimless Crime Spree at victimlesscrimespree.com. Of course, you can go there and watch that movie in its entirety, all 90 minutes of the really entertaining documentary film there at victimlesscrimespree.com. So they cover that. They cover anypay.global and the great work that they're doing bringing merchant acceptance, making it easy for merchants to accept cryptocurrency, thanks to anypay.global. They cover that in this interview here from the Liberty Forum, the 2019 Liberty Forum. It's Vin Armani, Dave Butler from Destination Unknown, their website, vinarmani.com, and interviewing Derrick J. Freeman. We continue with that interview now.
Because, not everyone has the time or the interest to figure out how to use wallets and store private keys. Owners do. Owners are like, we'll take your money. Right. Yeah, give us the money any way you can.
Sure.
But cashiers, they don't want to be bothered with that. Even managerial levels, it's a headache. So if I can make it easy for them to take cryptocurrency just from the same point of sale that they're using in their store already, and all they have to do is get more customers and they make everyone's day, then great. We're ending the state every time someone buys a latte or a gin and tonic at the bar here.
It's great, and the impact that you have had in Portsmouth, where you're based. I mean, Portsmouth is now on the radar of certainly the Bitcoin world as one of those hot spots for crypto. And you guys, I mean, a lot of that we can just chalk up to you two.
Well, I can't take all the credit. There was a strong Bitcoin community in New Hampshire and in Portsmouth before we moved, and that was a huge reason why we wanted to move. We were in San Francisco trying to use Bitcoin. It's pathetic. Right. There's nowhere, and even the places that did, there's a sushi place that has a QR code, on a piece of paper, and you're like, really? This is the tech center of the world? Get over it. So to be able to go to 24 different businesses in Portsmouth with several different kinds of cryptocurrency and buy real goods, theater tickets, concert venue, meals, yoga.
Meals, yeah.
I bought a car with cryptocurrency.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, recently a car with the cryptocurrency Dash.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that process. I mean, you were saying beforehand, that there's an openness here that people have where they just want to say yes. Talk to us about what that's been like.
Sure. Well, in stark contrast, if you've moved to a couple of different states or lived different places in your life, you'll notice that the environment is different. In each one, they've got their own vibe. And the New Hampshire vibe is very yes, we'll try new things. We're open to independence. It's always had this spirit of independence for hundreds of years. It's attracted the independent-minded person, and that's still true today. So when a person approached a car dealership, it wasn't even me, approached the car dealership to say, hey, what if we took Bitcoin? The manager was like, okay, how do we do that? Sure, let's try it. And they made this sketch, and they made it work, and I was able to buy a car. I used Dash. That was the coin they settled on. They got, I think, more publicity for using a lesser-known coin.
Sure.
Than just being a Me Too, we'll take Bitcoin. Sure. And so it worked out great for them, great for me. Everybody won. And it's very much the same situation as it was with the bar today. I walked in the morning. I had an iPad. I was like, hey, you've done this event before. You know that people are going to ask you, can we pay with Bitcoin? He's like, yeah, they do all the time. It's like, wouldn't it be great to say yes and make those people happy and get more drink sales and get more tips for yourself? Like, and he's like, yeah, that would be great. So I was like, I got this iPad. It's already preloaded. It can take all the coins. What do you say? Let's do it. And so he's like, all right. Well, yeah. Well, I got to ask my manager. Okay, hold on. So he asked, and he said, yeah. And they've been doing it every day, and they love it.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's fantastic. I mean, it was one of the reasons that I wanted to move here. Obviously, being involved as an entrepreneur in Bitcoin and in the crypto space, and I moved here. And it's actually, I would say, anybody who's got a cryptocurrency business, move here. I mean, just the connections. Now Cointext My Business is integrated with AnyPay. You know, it's been a great thing for us. And just to be able to have that sort of, to be ideologically aligned, especially in the space where sort of Bitcoin is now, where Wall Street's now moving in, to still have that vein where the innovators are still the people who are ideologically aligned with the vision, what I would say the real vision of Satoshi, is something amazing that's here.
Well, it's fun. It's just fun. It's having fun using this stuff. Like you said, it was the highlight of Mance's experience so far. And that's a small one. He'll have more great experiences.
Of course.
It's just having fun.
I think it's just so foreign to people from outside the state who are hodlers, right? They just, they've got their amount of crypto and they hold on to it. And they're not only do they not want to spend it, but there is no place to spend it. They have no options whatsoever. And then you come here and it's like you can literally walk down the street in Portsmouth from place to place to place, and they will take your crypto and you can...
Your offices. You have a fantastic space in Portsmouth. Did an event with myself, Daniel Kravitz, and Chris DeRose, both of whom are very well-known sort of Bitcoin individuals. Chris, in particular, kind of a well-known troll around Bitcoin. And we went next door. To
Fezziwigs,
to Fezziwigs, because I said that I wanted some coffee, and walked up and I said I want to pay in Bitcoin, and then I pretended as though my wallet did not work.
What?
And made Chris DeRose, and Chris was like, "Oh no, I got it," and paid. And it was interesting to see the look on his face, because I got the realization that, like, this is somebody who actually doesn't get an opportunity to even use the money that he's dedicated his life to on a day-to-day basis. And he was like, I got to take a picture and post this up and say, yeah, I actually bought coffee with Bitcoin right here. Like, this is what... And I really saw it, and even for, I saw his podcast after, and he was talking about it for weeks, the experience of being able to really do it.
That's Vin Armani talking with Derrick J. Freeman from the Liberty Forum in 2019, just a few weeks ago, about how easy it is to use cryptocurrency in real life here in New Hampshire. We're going to continue with more of the interview of Derrick J. Freeman from the Liberty Forum, thanks to Vin Armani over at vinarmani.com. Plus, we'll be kicking off the live version of Free Talk Live coming up here in just a little bit, as soon as we get back from our meeting, which we had to be at, so I apologize for not being here live in the first few segments of the show. There's more Free Talk Live and more with Vin Armani and Derrick J. Freeman from Destination Unknown coming up here in moments on Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
This is Free Talk Live. We're doing a unique kind of one-off episode here where we're actually not starting the live show right away on purpose. We will be live, hopefully as soon as possible. We don't know when we're going to get out of this meeting that we all had to be at. Like, every Free Talk Live host had to be at this meeting. So normally somebody's going to be here and we're going to be live, but this is like the one day a year when we have to start a little bit late. So I apologize about that. But hopefully this interview of Derrick J. Freeman is entertaining. I think it is. I think it's really interesting. It's conducted by Vin Armani from Destination Unknown and his co-host Dave Butler. They are available. More of their shows is over at vinarmani.com. Vin, of course, a sometime co-host here on Free Talk Live. He comes in once a month. And now Derrick J. Freeman is back. So for newer listeners, you may not know Derrick J. He is a longtime former co-host of Free Talk Live, and last night he made his triumphant return to the airwaves and did a whole show with us. Came all the way out from the seacoast where he lives. He used to live here in the room right above the studio for, I think, a few years, a couple of years at least. And now he's having a blast out on the seacoast doing AnyPay.global. And I'm such a fan of AnyPay. We use it all the time here in Keene when we go out and we buy things with cryptocurrency. The crypto users here in the area, every business in town is using AnyPay to accept cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Dash and Bitcoin Cash and several others if you want. Over at AnyPay.global, it's free to do as a merchant, so there's no reason not to do this. And they've got some really cool new features. They actually just announced Dogecoin is finally official on AnyPay. But more importantly, their iOS app is now available. So you can now get the AnyPay.global iOS app. You can learn more over at AnyPay.global. And they've got a new map. The Android app's been out for a while, by the way, so you can get that too. You can use their new map, which shows you where AnyPay using businesses are and how busy they are. It actually shows you on a color-coded key basis. Did this business have a transaction this week, or was their last crypto transaction within the last month or in the last 90 days? It's a pretty cool map, really useful features. I think this is going to be the best crypto map out there. So check that out at map.anypay.global. We'll tell you more about all that coming up. But first, the remainder of the interview of Derrick J. Freeman with Vin Armani.
To really get a vision of what could this look like.
Yeah, isn't that weird that there's all these people in the cryptocurrency space who've never used this stuff?
Yeah, it's crazy.
To buy anything in real life. I mean, it's cool buying things on a website, and that totally counts. I'm totally for using it's internet money. It makes sense to use it on the internet. But to use it in person is also a really unique experience. I'm glad that Chris got to have that. And Portsmouth is the home of the world-famous Bitcoin tour. I should mention, we just landed our first hotel. So now there's a hotel that you can stay at and pay with Bitcoin.
So tell us about the world-famous Bitcoin tour. What is this?
It's a self-guided tour. There's a map of different places that you can go. There's about 24, and things to do it all in one. You'll need a hotel room while you stay for the whole weekend. You can do yoga, and there's different things that you can get at each one. You get a potion made at Deadwick's Ethereal Emporium.
Okay.
So if you've got a love of your life that you want to hit with Cupid's arrow, you can get a potion made specifically for that. Or if you've got some problems, it doesn't matter. There's Bitcoin.
I just heard
machines.
I can buy magic with Sky Money. So This is awesome. I'm going to go buy some magic.
Yes, that is definitely up Dave's alley.
Surprisingly, one of the popular stores on the world-famous tour.
Sure, yeah.
And what made it real, we jokingly called it the world-famous Bitcoin tour when we started because it was like just a little thing in little old Portsmouth, New Hampshire. But then Chinese guys from Vice magazine or Vice News in China came to Portsmouth, took the world-famous Bitcoin tour. We had no idea, and then we saw an article on Chinese Vice that someone sent to us. It was like, hey, someone from China took the world-famous tour, which, by the way, it's like super banned in China. You can't go around and spend Bitcoin in stores or their Neo or whatever they got.
But didn't one of your videos about the hash war get translated into Chinese?
Oh, yeah. Well, they're mining.
Yeah, they're big into cryptocurrency.
But you can't really spend it. That's the weird thing. So they're even in a weirder sort of scenario. But it's so interesting to me, the idea that, and I think it's one of the powerful things about New Hampshire, is that here is this little, what would you call it? It's a little crucible. It's like this, it's this small but intensely burning, hot sort of community of people, right? Everybody is just so incredibly fired up that it has a real impact on the world. Maybe in some ways that being here you kind of forget because it's just normal, but people are aching for all over the world, are aching for the type of liberty that you can get coming here and being here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, we just had an event over a few blocks from here where everyone paid in crypto at the bar. They had lunch, and there were like 10 or 20 different sales, all in cryptocurrency. And that just doesn't happen other places. If you're listening to this and you yearn for that, come and visit. Experience that for yourself because it's real and it's within your grasp.
So earlier we mentioned Portsmouth as kind of a leader in the crypto space as far as retail crypto. And I, in my opinion, is there any place else in the country that is as integrated with crypto as Portsmouth?
Keene, New Hampshire.
Okay. So we got Portsmouth and we got Keene.
Yeah.
They're positioned pretty far apart. So, that's awesome.
They're really honored.
That's awesome.
And if you go and audit the maps, there's a dozen different maps that tell you where you can spend cryptocurrency. Oh, yeah, sure. New York has 124. Go and audit some of those places. I dare you.
Go and try.
I dare you. You will be so embarrassed as you go from store to store to store and they look at you with a blank stare and maybe even disgust that you are asking them to accept your cryptocurrency.
Wow.
Whereas here, they're like, yeah, it's a normal thing. They're like, oh, yeah, cash, credit, crypto. Course.
Yeah, that was walking around Portsmouth and doing the thing now in many of the places. I've sampled many. Every time I go up, I try a different place and sample it. I think that's maybe the most surprising, is not being looked at crazy and people knowing people being like, oh, okay, you want to pay in credit? Okay, which one did you want to pay in? You know what I mean?
Which coin?
Yeah, which coin did you want to do? Okay, boop, 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 flip it around, and I'm like, whoa, you actually knew what you were doing. The person, checking me out or at the bar or whatever, they knew what they were doing. It's unbelievable.
It's awesome. Instead of it being weird and different, they're actually excited to do it. They're like, oh, great, another Bitcoin one.
Yeah.
They know it's good for their business.
Sure. It's amazing.
So if you're a business and you want to take advantage of AnyPay, how would somebody do that?
Oh, great question. Thank you. Yeah. Anypay.global is the website, and there's 2 links right on the main page, one to a web app and the other to an Android app. iOS app soon coming. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's a super easy point-of-sale application to get started with. Minutes. I mean, you onboarded me at PorkFest this last year, and I think I hadn't used it yet, and I think it took 30 seconds before I had a wallet open.
Yeah, I say budget about 5 minutes.
Right, 5 minutes. Big commitment. Big commitment, folks.
But you should have a wallet to start,
Right.
Any wallet you like, because that's where the money goes, and AnyPay just makes it go ding, makes a green screen appear, makes it easy for your cashiers or your business to accept.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fantastic product. Done for real passionate reasons, and that always shows, and it's something that I love about being here. And I really appreciate what you've done and what you continue to do. I got to say,
thanks so much. It's really a pleasure. I appreciate what you've done.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Free Talk Live. I was just past the news that apparently today the New Hampshire State House has passed legalization of cannabis by what is purported to be a veto-proof margin. So we are still waiting to find out what the Senate is going to do with that. So that's some potentially good news because the governor here had promised to veto legalization. So hopefully they will cram it down his throat. So anyway, that was the interview with Vin Armani, or conducted by Vin Armani, with Derrick J. Freeman from Victimless, Crime Spree, and AnyPay.global. We got more on the way, plus Free Talk Live's live version will be kicking off at some point here, hopefully very, very soon as all the co-hosts return from the meeting we had to attend. So apologies for our tardiness, but we got a little bit more coming up here that I think you'll enjoy, and then live show coming up very soon here on Free Talk Live. Of course, you can join us online anytime at freetalklive.com. The Discord chat's open 24/7 over at discord.lrn.fm. More coming up. Talk Live, and normally I give you our call-in line numbers, but right now we can't take your calls because every co-host is at a current very special meeting that we had to attend. So apologies for our tardiness, but we will be kicking off the live show very soon. Meanwhile, playing some interesting interviews that otherwise you might not have gotten to hear on the radio because, well, normally Free Talk Live doesn't do an interview show. But we did do a bunch of interviews at Anarchapulco, which was the recent convention that is just a fantastic event that happened down in Acapulco, Mexico. I believe it was its 5th year this year, and I've had the pleasure of going to 3 of them. And there was just so much content at Anarchapulco There were so many interesting people to talk to. We hammered out 4 full episodes of the radio show basically by Saturday. So it started on Thursday. So we were done with 4 shows by midday Saturday. And then we just had more people to talk to. So we recorded another, I think, 10 extra interviews with people. I've been playing them throughout the last week and a half or so on our podcast. So I've been throwing in one extra bonus Anarchapulco interview on the podcast. So if you've been missing our downloads or archives, then you can grab those anytime over at freetalklive.com. So we're going to play Nick Rodriguez, the interview with him about Kratom. And if you don't know what Kratom is, well, you're going to learn about it coming up here in a moment on Free Talk Live. Anarchapulco 2019, as we are recording this on the final day of what has been a pretty awesome weekend. Everything's been fantastic about this particular event, and I think it's only going to get better from here on out. They're already talking about 2020 for Anarchapulco. At this point, we're doing some after shows here because there's just so many people to talk to. We have not run out. And I met Nick Rodriguez this weekend. One of our listeners, Ron, is here. And you guys were just talking at the bar one night. And I sat down, and we ended up chatting about a variety of different things. And, Nick, you told me that you are into the Kratom business. That's Kratom, Kratom. And it's come up a few times in the past on Free Talk Live. I remember specifically talking about it when the federal government was looking to crack down against Kratom, and I think they kind of backed down on that, but I'm sure you can give us what the current legal status is. But before we get into the legal status, Nick, what is Kratom?
Kratom basically is it's a leaf powder, kind of like matcha tea. It comes from a plant that's indigenous to the Indonesian islands, and it's traditionally used by the natives there for things like productivity, energy, pain relief, things like that. Now, when it finally got to the shores in the U.S., the thing that's helping people the most with that is the actual ability for folks to use this as a way to break their habitual use of narcotic painkillers.
Like opiates.
Yeah. Kratom is actually an opiate agonist. It
Really?
attaches to the receptor sites for opiates in the brain. And people are using this to finally break their addictions to pharmaceutical painkillers, which is huge. It's becoming a massive problem in the United States.
Sure. Yeah,
And
everybody knows that, right?
Yeah, it's really, we get messages from our customers all the time, and they are just so excited to have their life back. Basically, these people's lives are ruined by these drugs. And being able to get off of it and be productive in their society is really bringing so much benefit to their lives again.
What was it that got you involved in Kratom? How did you get turned on to it?
I discovered it through some friends of mine who were in the business.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was still involved in aviation, so I was traveling around the country doing work with helicopters. And I suffered a bad back injury in 2006. Oof. And I never really got on the habitual use of narcotic painkillers. It was just the actual prescriptions that were provided to me when I departed the hospital. It was Oxycontin, which is, yep. I'm sure you're aware, it's one of the more powerful painkillers out there. So I actually had to do a weaning process myself and go through the withdrawals of getting off of that drug.
Wow,
naturally without Kratom.
Yeah.
And I really wish I would have had it at that time because it would have made the transition easier. So I kind of understood what addiction is at that point and, how harmful it is, how difficult and challenging it is to get away from that. And when my friends were showing it to me, I didn't quite understand it, did the research on it, and they provided me with some samples, and I tried it. And really, instantly I knew that this was reducing the amount of pain that I had from my injuries during that car accident I described to you.
Wow. So when you say reducing your pain, of course, I always ask you, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, where was your pain? And then what kind of reduction did you notice from using Kratom?
Well, basically I broke my back in the car accident and had a spinal fusion. So there was some bone removed from my hip and used to actually reconstruct a vertebrae that was severely damaged. and then they implanted metal rods and screws above and below the damaged area and fused the entire section of thoracic vertebrae that was affected by that accident. So I do have quite a high pain level some days. But as far as like how effective maybe the Kratom is, it just basically it allows me to work regularly like I used to always be able to do before the accident.
Without thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't have to think about it. And it actually, one of the benefits of Kratom also is the fact that it provides you with a lot of energy. So my productivity is like not only am I at a level where I have reduced pain, but my productivity level is increased.
Now, how do you dose it? Is it oral? Is it smoked? What's the preferred way?
It's oral.
Okay.
Like most people use capsules because that's an easier method of administration.
Sure.
But you can also mix it in, say, for like maybe a smoothie, something like that. But it's a really bitter plant, so a lot of people have trouble just eating it in powder form.
Capsules make sense then. In that case. So let's see. So you got into it. It helped you out, and then you changed your. You were no longer. You left the aviation industry and decided I want to do full-time Kratom.
Yeah. Basically, I starting to get tired of being surrounded in a corporate world, having people constantly drag me around the country. I was living out of hotels, man. I was married, and 20 days out of the month, I was on the road. I get to come home for 10 days, and I felt like I was missing out on what's really important in life.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, okay, let's just take this plant and make a website and give it to the people that need it. So that was kind of my mission. It took me close to a year to really get the business successful and going. And at the point where, I was making more money than I was out on the road working for this aviation company.
Oh, great.
I just decided, okay, it's time for me to come back home, focus more on my business and my family, and make Kratom more available to people.
Let's talk about the legal aspect of this. I remember it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it feels like. I don't know exactly when, but there was some fear that the federal government was, maybe the DEA or whoever it was going to crack down on Kratom. And they had some kind of a period of accepting input from the public, and a lot of people who had experiences like you, people who were former addicts, who'd had Kratom help them, and pain relief and all the stuff. Wrote in, and it seemed like that kind of put off the crackdown. Am I remembering this correctly? Do you recall what I'm talking about?
Yeah. That's constantly happening in this industry.
A little bit more coming up here from Anarchapulco 2019 with Nick Rodriguez talking about Kratom. And, of course, you can normally talk about anything you want here on Free Talk Live. We will be going on live and opening the phones at some point here tonight. Hopefully very, very soon, because I'm only going to record a few of these segments. So hopefully this meeting that we're at won't be running too late. It started about 5:30 Eastern time. So anyway, that's where all of us are right now. And normally, 365 days a year, we are live. So we are going to be live. It's just the first hour or so. We're not going to be. So be patient. We'll open the phones up. We'll talk to you about anything coming up here in a bit. And don't forget, you can always join us online over at freetalklive.com. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by the AMP program. Big thanks going out to Paul Barnes, who's a Free Talk Live Silver Amplifier. And that means that Paul gives $5 a month to the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's a simple concept. If you like what we do here on Free Talk Live, 7 days a week, we're on broadcast radio, we're on satellite over 3 different continents, actually. We are on, we're on the internet, of course, live streaming. We've got a podcast, downloadable archives. And did I mention the 194 radio, or 196, I think now, radio stations airing the show coast to coast and beyond in the United States? We are making an impact for the ideas of liberty, and we're the only show doing it at this level. In fact, we're the only ones close to this level. Sadly, I wish there were more people that were doing what we're doing, but they're not. So if you appreciate what we're doing and you're willing to back us up with $5 a month like Paul Barnes has done, please go to the AMP program over at amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. That's where you can go to help us out. We got more coming up here from Free Talk Live. We'll finish up the Anarchapulco interview, and then hopefully we'll be back to live right after that. It's Free Talk Live.
She seems happier. Her fur is so much shinier, silkier, softer. She has really mellowed a lot.
Sheba is a 105 lean pounds of shiny, smooth, happy dog for life.
The shedding is stopped. The itching is stopped.
Since 2001, we've helped more than 250,000 dogs get over their nutritional deficiency miseries.
And saved our customers bazillions in vet bills.
Everything we tried failed except the Dynovite.
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
The omega-3 fatty acids,
flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa,
the digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Dynovite for life.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dynovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the second hour of the program here tonight with a bit of a different kind of approach because, well, we're not quite on the air live yet. Normally we're live 365 days a year, and we are going to be live today. It's just we're not starting the show live because all of our co-hosts are in the same place right now. Normally we, there's at least a couple of us that can be here and be live, but we had to all be at this meeting for reasons we can't discuss here. So we're going to continue with special interviews. This one from Anarchapulco, where we're talking about Kratom with Nick Rodriguez. We'll wrap that interview up here in this segment. Also, want to make sure that you know about freetalklive.com and some of the cool features that you can go and get interactive with there, like our Discord server over at discord.lrn.fm. Normally, during our live shows, which is coming up, it'll be a great way for you to call in and participate, get on the air with us, and talk about anything that you want, and sound almost like you're sitting here in the studio. But, like I said, you can't call in right now, but you will be able to. So go ahead and get that Discord set up on your phone, your smartphone, or your laptop or desktop device. You just download the Discord app. DiscordApp.com, I think, is their website. Download their app or go through the Play or App stores. Get it configured. It's real easy, just a username and password. And once you're in, go into your web browser and type in discord.lrn.fm. Now, the reason you have to do that is because for every Discord server, there's a special invite code that you need to get into the server. Well, when you go to discord.lrn.fm, it's already got that invite code built in to that URL, and it'll pop you right into our Discord server where you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners and co-hosts of the show. I'm in there pretty much every single day, multiple times a day. It's a great little chat server. There's different channels in there with which you can interact with other Free Talk Live users, listeners, etc. So, discord.lrn.fm. We continue with the interview from Anarchapulco 2019 with Nick Rodriguez about Kratom.
So, really, an interesting thing, let me just start out with saying that our company is based out of Florida.
Okay.
And there was a major lobbying effort to try to ban it and make it illegal in the state of Florida, yes. Okay. So the state legislature actually issued an order to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to conduct a statewide investigation to find out the level of risk that Kratom posed to the citizens of Florida. Ultimately, after their investigation was over, they concluded that Kratom actually posed no risk to the residents of Florida.
So people don't die from this?
No. And there is information out there that the other side that's trying to ban Kratom, they have been trying to blame Kratom on deaths or whatever. This is all like basically it's fake. It's just conjured up to try to advance their agendas to take Kratom away from the people that need it.
And who's against this? Is it the anti-drug people who apparently I've heard that one of the aspects of Kratom could get you a buzz somehow. I don't even know, how common that is or whatever. But so are these just the people who don't like anybody having a little bit of fun?
No, I don't think that's what it is at all. I think what it is, it's about money because Kratom is yes, exactly. It's a pharmaceutical company. So they're the ones that are paying the lobbyists that are going out to the states and trying to actually get this substance banned. But, like I said, I want to go back and reiterate that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement conducted a thorough investigation statewide in Florida. and their ultimate determination was that it didn't pose any risk.
Interesting. So they didn't pass the law against it then?
No, we beat them.
Good.
Yep.
And then what happened at the federal level? Do you know what happened there?
Same thing. There's a group called Botanical Educational Alliance. Mm-hmm. It's basically a lobbying organization, 501c3, and they've been going out state by state. They're always keeping an eye on what kind of legislation is being passed to try to ban that in whichever state it may be. So they're one of their main focuses is educating legislators in all the states to the actual studies, the scientific evidence on what kratom is, how it affects people, and more of the states are realizing the truth. And
have any states outlawed it?
I think it's maybe 5.
Okay.
5 or 6. Hold on.
Is there like a list on your website where you won't sell to those?
Absolutely,
to those states?
Yeah. There's a header on our website. Underneath the header, you'll see the states that we can't ship to. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we have lost a fight in a few states. But one of the positive things is, like for example, Tennessee. It was banned in Tennessee until recently. Botanical Educational Alliance was able to overturn that by educating the legislators there. So once again, we can ship to Tennessee.
Good. Congratulations. All right. The KratomTradingCo.com. That's your website. It's KRATOM, KratomTradingCo.com. Folks can go, as long as it's legal where they live, which sounds like most people, could go and learn more and order some from that site.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anything I should have asked you about Kratom that, I didn't ask you about?
I don't know. It's just great that we can get the information out to people. I would emphasize that if people need more information about kratom, to go to the Botanical Educational Alliance. Go to their website. It's a lot of good information there. Cool. And if they feel like they need to get involved, or they already are familiar with kratom, that's another good avenue that they can participate in the efforts to keep this plant legal and available.
Nick Rodriguez, thanks for coming on Free Talk Live.
Thank you, Ian.
Appreciate you being here, and I hope you've enjoyed the conference here at Anarchapulco.
Absolutely did.
It was great.
Met a lot of good people.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Free Talk Live. That was the interview of Nick Rodriguez from Anarchapulco 2019, talking about kratom. If you missed out on our Anarchapulco interviews, just jump back in our archives over at freetalklive.com. They started on, I believe, the 14th. The official event dates were the 14th through the 17th. So those 4 shows were just wall-to-wall interviews, and then we've had bonus interviews every single night since then, pretty much. So you can check out our past archives for even more from Anarchapulco 2019. And if you missed it, they're already working on Anarchapulco 2020. We don't have a discount code for you yet because it's just too early. We haven't done any kind of negotiations, but if you do want those super early bird tickets, they are available at a discount over at anarchapulco.com. So make sure you check that out. Hopefully we'll be there in 2020. That's certainly my intention, because Anarchapulco was and is an amazing event. It really is the go-to event in the Liberty world right now. Now, it's still, a little pricey to get down there. I mean, I think it was a $500 plane ticket, maybe $700. Actually, no, I think it came out to about $700 round trip for me to get down there. And then the hotel is actually surprisingly affordable, considering it's right on the beach and it's like, probably a 4 or 5 star resort. It's very, very nice. But you're in Acapulco, so not everything is as expensive as it would be here in the United States. Anyway, anarchapulco.com. Hey, also, coming up in about 2 weeks, not quite 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks from tonight, there's going to be a very special event happening on Twitch. And it's actually technically going to happen on Aria DeMezzo's channel, but we're going to kind of simulcast it on the LRN.FM Twitch channel. It's going to be called Nazi versus She-Male Fight Night. So people wanted to see. There was an event that we did, Freer Talk Live, with Chris Cantwell, the so-called crying Nazi on Free Talk Live, a former co-host we ended up firing a few years ago because he, turned into a racist. And that's not something that's okay to be if you're going to be a Free Talk Live co-host. So he's been fired from Free Talk Live. But we still know Chris. And so he had come in here for a special internet-only, Twitch-only episode of Freer Talk Live. It caused some level of controversy, both inside and outside of the studio. But at one point during that 3-hour-long show, Aria DiMezzo, the anarchist she-male who's previously run for sheriff here in Cheshire County, New Hampshire, she had a back and forth with Chris. She kind of sat in while I went and took care of some things around the house, and things got pretty heated between Chris and Aria. And I know she wanted more time with him, and Chris has had her on his show in the past. So now Aria's going to be in here. It's going to be just the two of them. There's going to be nobody else in the conversation, from what I understand. It's Chris Cantwell versus Aria DiMezzo. It's going to be Nazi versus she-male on Friday, March 15th. It's going to kick off just moments after the Free Talk Live radio show ends. It will be viewable on the LRN channel, but it's not officially on the LRN channel because we're expecting that whichever channel broadcasts this may get banned from Twitch. So Aria says she doesn't care what happens to her channel, so she's going to do it on hers. So don't miss that. Mark your calendar if you want the entertainment, if you want to see the fight happen live. It's Friday, March 15th. Here are the LRN studios on our Twitch channel at twitch.lrn.fm. More coming up. We should be live. Coming up next. Oh, there's packet loss, and that's what it sounds like. Here we are on Free Talk Live. Although, actually, our radio listeners probably can't hear the packet loss because that's they probably have like, what are you talking about? Packet loss. It's only the internet listeners that can hear that. Anyway, we're doing a radio show now. We're actually here in the studio. It is live. It has not been live up until this point here tonight, as I've announced several times, due to all of the hosts having to, well, not having to, but wanting to attend a certain local meeting. And I said I couldn't talk about what it was. But I think I can now that the meeting is over. So I didn't mean to tease people with that, and they can't tell us what it is. We're trying to save the local credit union from being subsumed by a massive credit union from Massachusetts. So I mean, this isn't. I don't know how relevant this is to the average listener, but that's what was going on. It's hard to be a small credit union, these days. It's hard to be a small anything these days with the trend towards bigger and bigger and corporate and more regulations. And basically the local credit union here, of which most of our co-hosts are members, I think with the exception of you, Vincent. But I didn't want to ask you to host Free Talk Live by yourself. You have other things that you could have done with the hour of time.
Well, let's see. That would have been just me let's say it would have been an hour of just me talking aside from callers. So that would be hour number 3 of just me minus commercial breaks today of me speaking nonstop into the mic. And I busted my voice.
Because you have a 2-hour broadcast radio show that you do on Wednesday morning.
Yes.
Starting at 9 a.m.
Yep. And even then I busted my voice doing first the Alex Jones impression, then I tried with Jesse Ventura, and then I had to keep my voice on lockdown the rest of the hour.
So when I told you could have an extra hour off tonight, you were pretty happy about that.
Yes.
So most of our co-hosts were members of the Cheshire County Federal Credit Union here in Keene, New Hampshire. It's a small, little local credit union. Had 3,300 members. Not a lot, right? Like, that's not a lot of people. And the credit union's been around since the 1960s. It was one of those things where it was originally formed for a corporation, so for the employees of a local company, and then they at one point changed their charter to expand to allow anyone who lives or works or I think worships in Cheshire County to become a member of that credit union. And for listeners that don't know what a credit union is, Vincent, have you ever actually been a member at a credit union?
No.
I was never a member at a credit union until probably about 2 years ago. I knew they existed, but I was like, what do I need that for? I've got my bank. Well, credit unions are definitely, I think, a better thing than a bank because they're more customer-oriented generally. They're more likely to know your name when you walk in the door. They purportedly offer better rates because they're nonprofit organizations, so all their profits supposedly go to offer their members better services and rates rather than, some CEO pay of, some insane levels. And so there's a lot of reasons to join a credit union because, number one, you as a member have some kind of influence, purportedly. Unfortunately, today there weren't enough members who actually had the influence to oppose this particular proposal. So the proposal was to merge, which basically means be subsumed by, to become part of.
Be absorbed by.
Yeah, to be absorbed by.
Consumed by.
Right, by an organization that not only has about 10 times the membership, so they have about 29,000 members in this other group, but also has 25 times the assets, meaning, when you look at a bank's numbers, you see what are the deposits they have, how much do they have on their files, on their books or whatever. The local credit union had $20 million, $19 million worth. And this massive credit union, which, all things considered compared to mega banks like Chase is still very small, but, compared to our local credit union, much larger, had 25 times that. They had $500 million. And they've absorbed other credit unions in the area, and so that's kind of seems to be like what they do.
Well, people must have voted for it for a reason. What benefits do they have by being absorbed?
Yeah, so we obviously would have to ask everybody why they voted for it, because they did vote for it when we left, because I had to come back and be on the air. We were waiting for the counting to be finished, and I just kind of walked over to look and see what the count was, and it was like 250 to 50, basically. The 250 voting in favor of the merger with 50 voting against it, and about 46 or so sort of bad ballots, for whatever reason, ballots that had to be rejected. So it was nowhere even near close, so we figured it's a done deal, and there's no way it was going to turn around. They'd already sort of processed through most of the ballots at that point. So, if I had to speculate, I would say that the proposal was made in a way that was, I don't think, entirely fair. So what happened was they came to an agreement with this other credit union back in May of last year, so of 2018, and they didn't tell anybody about it in the membership until 3 weeks ago. So they sent out a letter to all the members, and the letter only had a one side to it. The letter wasn't like, here's a side written by the people who want this. Here's a side written by the people who are against it. No.
Or even just a pros and cons list.
No, it was all pros. So it was all from the board of directors. This is what we think should happen. Here are the reasons why we think this should happen. So better interest rates, right? And that's what a lot of people care about when it comes to a bank account. They care about what's the interest rate, even though it's basically nothing, right? Like if you open up a checking account, in a lot of banks, you won't get any interest or very, very little.
Well, you end up losing money because of the inflation. It just lose.
Well, that's certainly the larger picture, yeah. But most people don't think that wide. They just look at what the rate of the bank account is going to generate. And on most bank accounts, it's a joke. Whether it's a joke of 0.5% or 0.25%, either one of those things is insignificant.
Well, yeah, but if you have $100,000, you get 1%.
Yeah, even that's still not a whole, heck of a lot.
But those are the offers they give. When I was going through my banking, it's like, why do they even bother mentioning interest at all? Right? It's like a joke.
It's a joke, but yet I guess if you're going to take a loan out, 4% makes a difference compared to 5%. I don't know. So anyway, I would say that's probably one factor. Another one was the idea that some people want to help the employees out, right? So like the employees who'd worked for this credit union weren't getting paid a whole lot. It's a local small credit union. They don't have a lot of money, and so the paychecks are relatively small for these employees. So the employees would get a raise, so they had an incentive, to lobby for this. And let's see, what else? Oh, well, because they're joining this other credit union, then that gives certain benefits. They offer other, loan services and things like that. So it'd be more like a big bank, which is the reason why people purportedly joined this credit union, was to not be part of a big bank, was to be part of a small local organization that's controlled locally by its members. So now that it's passed, now that the merger is going to happen, now it's not going to be as controlled by its members. It will be controlled by 29,000 people in this entire region, most of them in Massachusetts. So Massachusetts is not New Hampshire. Even though it's, within an hour's drive of where we are in New Hampshire, it's still not New Hampshire. A lot of great points were made by co-hosts of Free Talk Live, roommates, people who care about freedom were there, and they Rich Paul and Chris Reitman, our Thursday night co-host, and unfortunately, by the time we all got to the meeting, most all the votes were in because they all came by mail, So the people who voted never really had an opportunity to hear an opposing side.
Or just didn't want to.
There's more coming up here, 855-450, Free Like Freedom. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free and join us here. The number is 855-450-FREE. And, of course, I totally forgot to turn the cams on here tonight, so I have to do that. Was a little distracted by a ultimately disappointing vote at the local credit union to... they ultimately decided, the members who did vote, which, by the way, less than 10% of them voted... maybe like 9% of them. I figured it'd be about 10% that would actually participate. So it was about 200. By the time we left, and they seemed to be mostly done counting the votes, it was 250 to about 50 in favor. So 250 in favor of being subsumed by some massive credit union, which just so happens to not be particularly friendly to cryptocurrency. So that's unfortunate, too. Anyway... It was a good effort, and a lot of our co-hosts were out there and lobbying in favor of keeping the credit union small and keeping it local. But unfortunately, the people who voted, they decided they wanted it to be big, and that's it. Bigger is not necessarily better.
No, by no means, no.
But the only other option now for people that care about cryptocurrency would be for them to start their own credit union.
Well, isn't the whole point of Bitcoin being your own bank that you don't need any of that stuff?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, that's the idea behind, one of the ideas behind Bitcoin is to get away from the old banking institutions and all that. But unfortunately, we still have them. We still are, we can't get away from them yet because there aren't enough people that are taking cryptocurrency. So you can't live your whole life on crypto for real. Like, there are some people who claim that I don't ever spend anything but cryptocurrency. Well, you're kind of cheating on those claims. And when I say that, what I mean is there are some pretty cool tools that exist in the cryptocurrency world. Like a crypto fuel debit card. Have you ever heard of these things?
Oh, yeah. So you could so it works as an actual debit card. Like I could go to Walmart and use that.
Right, I have one from a company called BitPay, which is one of the original kind of merchant acceptance, Bitcoin acceptance companies. And it's a neat concept. What it does is it allows you to send Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash to an address that's associated with this card, this Visa. It's got the Visa logo on it. So, like, this works at pretty much any place that takes Visa, with very few exceptions, according to my experiments with it. And so what it is you load the card with crypto, but not really.
Yeah, that doesn't really count.
Because what happens is the card doesn't keep the balance in cryptocurrency. It keeps a balance in dollars. So let's say right now, one Bitcoin's worth $3,800. So if you put half a Bitcoin on here, you're at about $1,900 worth of U.S. dollars that gets loaded on here. If the price of crypto changes, you still have $1,900. So this is a debit card with dollars on it. This isn't a crypto card. It's just you can load the dollars onto it by sending Bitcoin to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you use crypto to get dollars.
Yeah, that's all you're doing.
Yeah,
you're just selling your crypto.
That doesn't count living off crypto.
It's just you're just selling your crypto to get dollars, and then you're spending dollars. So it's a neat gimmick. It's a good way. It's
useful. It sounds useful.
It's useful. I'm not downing this card. It's for people that want to get into cryptocurrency, and one of the questions is, how do I get out of cryptocurrency? Because if you go to the cryptocurrency vending machines, a lot of them, they only sell crypto. They don't buy it back. So getting out of crypto, selling your crypto for dollars, is a challenging thing. Now, of course, the true zealot would say, well, you should never sell your crypto. Well, I mean, the reality is some people got to pay their bills, and you can't pay your bills, most of them, with cryptocurrency yet today. So some people have to get out. So having a tool like this is easier than, signing up at some exchange, than having to send your Bitcoin to the exchange, than having to trade the Bitcoin on the exchange, than having to withdraw the money from the exchange. There's several steps involved in that. Here, you just send the Bitcoin to the card. It converts it to a US dollar balance. You spend the balance. That's all you have to do. So they're the people that are claiming that they only spend crypto. That's cheating. To me, if you're only spending crypto, you have to just spend crypto, meaning the business has to accept the cryptocurrency, meaning the business owner has to get crypto after your sale, not dollars. Because if I go in and I buy something with this BitPay card, the person I'm buying it from doesn't know this was fueled with crypto. They don't know anything. All they know is I'm giving them a debit card, and they get dollars in their bank account from that debit card. So if you're not actually using crypto at every transaction, you're not actually living off of crypto. And so I don't think that anybody who claims to be living off of crypto fully is actually doing it, is if you exclude these sort of cheap methods.
Unless someone could find a way to survive off of like a local burger and every food truck every day.
Yeah, it would get pretty tiring. Having to go. I mean, we've got a variety.
Especially the arteries, too. The arteries would get pretty tired very fast.
Yeah, you can't really go and buy a bunch of fresh fruit and vegetables with cryptocurrency right now. Although, I'm sure there are some people that are trying to work on the farmer's market.
Well, have you ever tried getting the Monadnock Co-op to accept crypto?
I'm not a member there, so I have not tried to do that. But there used to be a guy who lived here who was a member, and he did actually pitch them on taking Dash at one point. Now, that was actually before Dash kind of became a big thing in the area and before AnyPay even existed. And I think that they'd spent time with him. They actually sat down and listened to the pitch. And I think that they ultimately said that for now they weren't going to do anything about it.
Well, I wonder if they regret. Well, I was going to say, Dash then became a big thing, but then everything crashed. So I'm sure they don't regret it. But
who knows? I mean, if more members wanted to approach them, look, all it takes is numbers. All this. For whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's you're trying to advance cryptocurrency or you're trying to advance liberty or both or whatever it is that your project is, or maybe you're a communist and you want to advance communism, it just takes numbers. You have to have people. You have to have large numbers of them. Whatever it is you want to accomplish. You want to change policy. You want to have cryptocurrency take over. That's why migrating people to one area, one geographic area, is an important concept. The intentional migration of libertarian, voluntarist, anarchist, cryptocurrency type people to come to New Hampshire. The fact is, we don't have enough. We had a couple dozen activists who were interested in this particular case with the local credit union that has just been voted by its members to be subsumed by a much larger credit union from a different state. We didn't have enough people to have an effect. Even if all of our activists came out in Cheshire County, we wouldn't have been able to outvote the 250 people that voted. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are. And so we need hundreds more people to move. We need thousands more to move across all of New Hampshire who care about freedom. Because, if you're not willing to put some effort into liberty, then why? What, you think you can just vote your way to freedom? It's not going to work like that.
Well, I think there should be some caution. Like they say, around 4,000 people your liberty-minded people have already came here, and we got one Cantwell. So if there's, let's say, 10,000 more people come, then on average we have two more Cantwells. Do you think the state could handle that?
I don't know, but did I mention? Yeah, I did mention earlier that there is going to be a fight night coming up between Aria DiMezzo, the anarchist she-male, and Chris Cantwell, the crying Nazi. So that's going to happen in about 2 weeks' time.
I think he prefers like the hero of Charlottesville.
Well, he got kicked out of all of Virginia, apparently, so he can't go back to Charlottesville for the next 5 years.
No, I think there's a civil suit. There's some sort of civil suit he might have to return to Virginia for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that against him or by him?
Oh, no, it's against him and a lot of the other organizers.
Oh, wow.
I haven't been following it too closely, but yeah, there is a civil suit.
So if you want to join us here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And we've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. And so we are going to get to your phone calls and thoughts. We're actually here live at this point. I just wanted to make it clear, because I always feel bad when we can't do a show live, because we're here literally 365 days a year doing shows. And, of course, we weren't live from Anarchapulco because we we basically can't be when we're doing events like that. But we still recorded the show live, and we were still at that event live and in person. So I still kind of feel like that counts. I don't know. You might disagree. $8.55, either way, the show's free, so we can't give you your money back. $8.55-450 free. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord call-in lines over at discord.lrn.fm. Coming up, there's some news about guns.
Oh, yeah.
Vincent, you're going to share that with us, a big package, and I'm imagining it's not good news about guns.
No.
Coming up here on Free Talk Live.
Never.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial toll-free to join us here. Our number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. However, keep in mind, this is a broadcast radio show, so there's some things you just can't say on the radio in the United States. However, there's going to be an opportunity for you to come up here later tonight for you to say many of those things, because we will be doing our Twitch-only after show, which we call Freer Talk Live. That's coming up after 10 p.m. Eastern Time on our Twitch channel over at twitch.lrn.fm. Vincent, you're going to be staying on, joining me on what is a marathon radio day for you. You started out this morning at 9 a.m. With a local broadcast radio show here in the Keene, New Hampshire area. You're now on Free Talk Live until 10, and then you're going to be on Freer Talk Live with me as we open up the phones and basically go no censors, at least no FCC censors, because Twitch has its own rules, but they're not as many rules as the FCC has.
Hopefully my voice could hold out.
Yeah, it can get exhausting. If you do a lot of radio, especially if you're by yourself.
Especially if you're a daily smoker, too.
It can be very exhausting. So anyway, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Stay tuned if you're on our Twitch feed at twitch.lrn.fm. Stick around, because immediately after our radio show is done, we take a quick break for the news, bathroom break, whatever, and then we're back and we do the uncensored version of Free Talk Live at twitch.lrn.fm. That's tonight. We go to the phones, to the fun. Keenan is on the line in Kentucky. Keenan, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Vincent. Go ahead.
Hey, folks.
Hey.
I've been a long-time listener and admirer of you all, and I've been meaning to call in for quite a while now. I'm a little nervous.
Oh, don't worry about it. No worries.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to call and talk a little bit about college. I was just listening on the podcast and shaving and getting ready for bed.
Okay.
And I was inspired to call in, and I forget the guy's name. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to lay out.
Oh, you're talking about the caller. We had a caller recently who was very disappointed with his college experience. He is a senior at a private college, I think a Catholic college, actually, in Washington, D.C., and he's 21. I believe he's in his final semester, and within the recent months, he came to the conclusion that it's been a huge waste. He's $50,000 in debt as a result of this, and he's pretty bummed out about it. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I didn't go to college for quite a while, so I waited until I was 25 to start, and I worked at UPS, so they pay for a bunch of that stuff. So I made sure when I went, I had all of it paid for by an employer.
Okay, smart move.
I always try to talk people out of going. If they don't have it covered by someone else, if they're not offloading the cost onto their employer or grants or whatever,
or grandparents or whatever. I mean, if you got a rich family, then whatever. But yeah, if you've got to bear those tens of thousands of dollars or even more than that for the rest of your life, it's got to be a huge burden.
But look, okay, so if huge, all right, so dang it, I'm sorry, I got a little busy there, but so yeah, when I went and got an associate's degree, they paid for it, and I was going to leave UPS, but boom, they called me and they promote me to a plant engineering gig, and all right, so now I start going for a bachelor's degree, and I'm not really wanting this bachelor's degree. The associates I went on my own, but the bachelor's degree is kind of forced by them. But I'm trying to to get at, like I'm still 10 classes away, and suddenly I'm swiping my debit card to pay for these classes, and they started out at $1,500, and every semester they go up. This is per class. And
no, wait, I thought you said, hold on, I thought you said UPS was paying for it.
All right, they did until I got promoted from a part-time package thrower to like a professional plant engineering person. So
why would they be more? Hold on, I'm confused. Why would they? I've never worked for them before, and I don't work for big companies. But why would they pay for a part-time package guy to go to college, but not their full-time employee?
I'm not 100% certain, to be honest. I think the youngins that are throwing boxes, I think they must be so cheap wage-wise that there must be some sort of bonus to paying for all their schooling like that. I'm not sure why, but once you get technical and full-time, all that's gone.
So they're basically like, okay, well, we're paying you more, so you can just go ahead and pay your own way in college is basically the idea?
Something like that. So I had to figure out a lot of this college payment stuff on my own.
So wait, how far were you through when, just to be clear, you'd already gotten the associates on the backs of UPS, but as soon as you got the associates, that's when they promoted you, and then they told you they wanted you to finish, or was it your decision that you wanted to? I'm unclear as to your motivation.
If I ever wanted to be promoted further to like a big collared shirt level, they want the piece of paper from me.
Okay.
And I'm kind of content with going, but I am forcing myself into it now. Like the associates I did for me, but this stuff I'm doing for not me. So I have to force myself into it. But every semester, the cost of this stuff is going up. So one class costs $1,500, and it goes up $30, $40, $50 per semester. And I don't understand who's sending their kids off to this stuff. I have an my ex-boyfriend, this poor dude got shoved out of home at 18, and they didn't care what happened, just go to college. So this poor guy goes for culinary, and he lives at the dorms, and then after his 2-year degree, he doesn't know what to do, so he goes for a 4-year hospitality management degree, which means just not to be a butthole to your guests. And
you need to go to school for that?
Poor guy has, apparently, but he's got $80,000 debt to show for it. He's a secretary now. And I mean,
so he's not even working in food? He's not even working in that industry?
The last I heard, no. And his parents kind of pushed him off to go. Yep. And I know there's so many different people like this to where their parents are just shoving them to go.
Vincent, you're in college right now. Have you had this experience where you've looked at the prices of the college courses? Are they going up over the years?
Well, I don't look at the price of a course. I look at the price overall for the semester.
Okay.
And so, the prices are going up for the semester.
So even if you're taking the same amount of classes, the price is going up?
Yeah. So what I'm paying now, right, this year, is what an out-of-state student would have been paying when I first enrolled in Keene.
And you're in your third year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually talked my sister out of going.
Huh. Good.
Like she went to some, I guess it was a for-profit school, and as soon as you show up, they smile and they hold your hand and they do all the paperwork and stuff for you. But I tried to talk her out of going until she had someone else to pay for it. And I mean, she has debt now for it, and she didn't finish, but this college stuff, I wish I'd never. I wish I would have been motivated to go out and start learning a bunch of skills on my own. I wish I would have followed the more libertarian, voluntarist, urge to go, self-learn and forge my own freaking path.
You and me both. You and me both.
So wait, man. Are you still in the midst of this, right, Keenan? Where are you at with your degree? How close are you?
I'm like 10 classes out, man.
Right. So you're basically you get 2 more semesters.
Yeah. It'll be cool to have this piece of paper, but I'm debt free. Like I debit card swipe, and I only take as many classes
as you can afford.
Because I have money, but that debit card swipe hurts. It hurts deep
I bet,
inside.
Man. I bet. Hey, thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts and your experience here with us tonight, because it's so common that we hear from people who are in college or who went to college who regret it. who have serious regrets about it. Now, that's not to say that it isn't right for people. There might be some people, some careers certainly, are very specific. You have to have a degree. You want to be a doctor? You can't be a shade tree doctor and make, any money. So you pretty much have to do college in certain areas. But there are a lot of people who end up, like he was saying, even the guy who went to school for culinary didn't end up working in the food service. I mean, a lot of times this typical story, as you hear, is somebody gets a college degree for X and then they end up working as a waitress, right? Like it's usually food service that these college students end up going into because it's easy to get those jobs. And in that case, the student's got a culinary degree as an associate and he's not even using it. How tragic is that?
Oh, and all the money, it's all that money you're never going to get back, and you're going to be if it's like a federal loan, you're going to be a slave. Well, you're already slaves of government, right. But you're going to be more so a slave.
But now you're in debt, yeah. Because if you're not in debt, you have way more freedom. You can make many choices in life if you're not tied down by debt. Toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We got a full hour to go here before we get to the uncensored version of Free Talk Live on our Twitch channel later at twitch.lrn.fm. Hour 3 on the radio side is coming up next, so join us and bring up whatever you want.
We'd like to invite you to visit freekeen.com. Freekeen.com features audio, video, and blogs chronicling the transition to a voluntary society. Freekeen.com also has comments and discussion forums so you can be heard. Freekeen.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Launching into the third hour of the program, you can dial toll-free to join us. Our number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. And with you tonight, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
Also, we're going right back to the phones and to the fun, but also on the way, Vincent, you're going to be telling us about a disturbing piece of legislation that is either did it pass already?
It was passed by the House.
That is not good for guns, and we'll talk about that.
Oh, no, rather it's not good for gun owners.
Okay, we'll get into it. I don't know anything about it, so you're going to tell us all about it coming up here in moments. But first, we go to George. Uber George is on the line with us here from D.C. Got to turn whatever that is down.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm in the restaurant at the moment here. Let me step up.
Sounds like you're at a seminar or something.
Nah, I'm in a restaurant.
Okay.
I'm stepping outside in about 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
And now I'm outside.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Sounds much better.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to call because I was listening to podcast from the other day about Gene the Christian Anarchist travels in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I'd like to chime in with my own experience regarding the whole customs and police thing. Well,
yeah, to recap, Gene had said that it's always the worst for him going back into the United States, that there's no other customs in the world that is as bad as the United States government. And he's a so-called citizen, so they treat him very, very poorly. So that was his experience, and he said that while he was in Australia and New Zealand, he had not even seen one police cruiser within the first couple of days.
In my case, I saw maybe 1 or 2 during my entire trip in each country when I was in Australia and New Zealand. Right there, you just got to remember, in their case, in both countries, the police cars are white with yellow checkers, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Not blue. So the color scheme might not stand out to those of us.
Okay, you got to know what you're looking for. Gotcha.
Yeah, and also the cameras. I tell you what, the camera, at least the speed cameras, at least in Australia, is far worse than anything I've ever experienced here in the U.S.
Really?
I mean, oh yeah. Put it to you this way: in D.C., which I thought was unbelievably obscene, the minimum fine for when a camera tags you, say if you just go barely fast enough to trigger the speed camera, that minimum fine is at least $100.
In D.C. or in Australia?
D.C.
You're saying it was worse in Australia?
Oh yeah. See,
now, how do you know? Did you get a ticket?
Yep.
Whoa.
I was in Adelaide, and I was driving apparently 5 miles an hour over the limit, which is 8 kilometers an hour over the limit, at least according to the ticket. A camera tagged me. And guess how much for just, like I said, 5 over, when you make it in America, guess how much they wanted?
Well, I'm going to guess it's at least more than 100, so let's say 200. U.S. dollars?
$235.
Wow. Now, is this where, like, you're renting a car and they bill the rental company and then the rental company passes it on to you, essentially? Is that how that works?
No. You're renting a car, and then they go to the rental car company and be like, who was renting this car? Mm-hmm. And they go to the information. So they're not going to, bill the rental car company because it's not their fault.
Oh, really? So how did they bill you? Like, do they send it to you when you're back in the United States? How did they actually find you?
Yep, I got a letter in the mail. Like, literally 2 weeks after I got back from Australia, I get a letter from the South Australian government saying, you're going, 8 kilometers an hour over the limit in Adelaide, and we want $235 from you. And I'm just, like, laughing, like, you're going to go and drag me off. I'm not going to pay that. What are you going to do, drag me halfway around the world and throw me in the jail cell for this?
Well, now, they're not going to do that, but couldn't they basically say, if you don't pay this, you can't come back here?
Probably, but in my case, I had no intention of coming back anyway, because at that point, I've already seen as much of Australia as I've ever gone to
seen
anyway.
Enough. Okay, gotcha. Did you see the Gold Coast meter maids while you were there?
No. I mean, I've been to, like, Sydney, Cairns, Adelaide, Melbourne, Alice Springs, Uluru, Cooper, Pedy, and Perth. So, yeah, like I said, I've seen enough.
Okay,
all
right.
But, and then a few weeks later, I get another one saying, hey, you didn't pay us. Give us now $255,
Right, well, they had to spend $5 in postage just to send it to you.
Yeah, and I still ignored it like that. Like, no, you ain't getting a dime from me like that.
How many more letters have they sent? Was it just the 2?
No, that was it. And then I was told by someone who lives there that after 3 years, they just throw the whole thing out.
Really? Okay, well, maybe you can go back.
Yeah, although I was kind of nervous going to New Zealand on my second trip because I had a layover in Sydney for about 5 hours. Mm-hmm. I had a layover. And I thought, like, they might catch me when I'm getting off the plane or something like that, but no.
Good to know. George, anything else you want to share tonight?
Well, I got to say, Canadian immigration and customs have treated me worse than Americans.
Really?
Except
How?
for LAX. Yeah. Like, every other time I've visited Canada, they've always searched my car. Every other time I've been to Canada like that, It's like it's literally a flip a coin toss.
Interesting.
Like that. But that's just me like that.
Thanks for the call tonight, George. I appreciate your experience and thoughts. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Now, Vincent, you're from Canada. Have you ever had a pat-down or a search going through the border?
So, going through to the Canadian border, actually, I prefer Canadian. I don't know if it'd be customs. I've only driven. I've never flown to Canada.
Same with me.
So, the Canadian, it's always easier going into Canada than coming out from it, depending on what border station you go to. The only customs that mistreated me, from what I could remember, was the U.S. Customs when I came back, and this was a while ago, I was like 7 years old. We came back from a trip to the U.K., and something was up with my citizenship status. The way my mother explained it to me at the time was they didn't like the fact that I was a dual citizen, or they used my Canadian passport for whatever reason. And so I was detained, and I was like in a room, and they had wanted posters of Osama bin Laden and everything. Yeah. From what I remember, yeah.
This was the U.S. side.
Yeah. Well, I was at JFK. I believe it was. It was a long time ago, but yeah. So
maybe we were in the same room. I got detained at JFK too for 3 hours last week, actually.
Well,
as a matter of fact. So if you want to join us here and tell us your customs and border patrol enforcement, or I guess it's customs and border protection is what they call themselves now in the United States, you're welcome to join us here at 855-450-FREE. I just wish all this border crap could just disappear and people could just cross wherever it is they wanted to, as long as they had permission to go wherever it was that they're going. We don't need these arbitrary borders. It's all so stupid.
Well, it's in one way, I understand your... Oh, geez, we're going to open this can of worms.
It's all so stupid.
But I understand your thinking, but it's like... it becomes somewhat of a necessity when you have the state committing mass acts of wealth redistribution. To the point where it's going to be...
Well, not to mention mass acts of murder. They're trying to keep the terrorists out that they created by dropping bombs in these other countries. Look, having traveled, a little bit internationally, right? I've gone to Mexico a few times. I've not really done much other. I mean, besides driving to Canada, the only place I've flown internationally is to Mexico. And it's just also arbitrary. It's also stupid. It's all such a waste of time.
I understand it. I'm just saying it used to. I mean, I wish things could go back to the way it was like the 1800s, where U.S. criminals would flee to Mexico to hide. Now Mexican criminals flee to the U.S. because they could get free money.
No, there's plenty of people that flee to Mexico.
Oh no, I'm just saying in general, right? But now, now with like the news and everything, it's like it's criminals fleeing to. Mexican criminals fleeing to the U.S. because you can get free. Oh, absolutely.
Not
you
really.
have all these. You have the sanctuary cities. You have these. Oh, absolutely. And look at the news. You have the sanctuary cities.
There's an American conservative magazine. It's a magazine called American Conservative that wrote an exhaustive piece looking at the statistics of immigration, and they basically found that Mexican immigrants are not any more likely to be criminals.
Oh yeah, we're talking about legal immigrants. I'm talking about.
Period.
Was that pre-Bush or post-Bush written, or Obama?
Post-Bush, during Obama.
The catch and release caused a lot of issues, right? And the issues like felons being protected over here. And the point is, you can't have open borders with a welfare state. It's an absolute disaster. We're the only country who has, except Sweden.
There's no open borders here. The toll-free number
south of the border there is in California, where they have they let people go. They bus people to sanctuary cities where they're given driver's licenses.
There's more
and
coming up here in moments.
They get to vote.
855-450 free. Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free to join us here. Our number is 855-450 free. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com, your premier source for everything Bitcoin related. They can help you choose a Bitcoin wallet, buy Bitcoin, and even show you where you can spend your Bitcoin. Plus, you can read the latest news or engage with the community on the Bitcoin forum and take their Bitcoin Academy if you're brand new. It's free. Go to learn more over at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. So, Vincent, you were getting all heated up over immigration just a few moments ago, and I was saying that all of this border stuff and these checks and all of it is just so pointless.
Well, I was getting heated up over the welfare state rap, or all this free garbage.
I don't support the welfare state. I'm totally against the welfare state. However, I don't believe in this idea that, I'm against immigration rules, but we got to get rid of the welfare state first. No.
Well, yeah, you got to get rid of it first because by having open borders with a welfare state, you're importing, or not I'm saying like it's the people who will vote to vote politicians in power to continue it, to sustain it. Then you get SWAT teamed.
Well, look, you got to break
but you can't defend yourself,
a few
right?
eggs to make an omelet.
So it's like a total role reversal from last week's episode, man.
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Well, break a few. So you're saying that?
No, what I'm saying is that these people, and I guess you're one of them, that make the statement, we got to get rid of the welfare state before we can open up borders. Of course, they don't really want to open up borders, period. That's just an excuse. But
once a welfare state is gone and say the borders are opened, it used to be that like 1/3, at least back when it was the European immigration 1800s, like 1/3 of people would go back to where they came from. They'd come to the U.S., work,
and
either go back home or realize it's terrible here and leave, right? Compared to so if we open, let's say there's no incentive for anyone to come here aside from on their own volition, right? There's no,
but aside from making a better life.
Exactly, yeah, no food stamps,
welfare.
No nothing.
Can we also not have welfare for citizens?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah, there shouldn't be.
So totally end the welfare
absolutely,
state.
Yeah.
Then. Okay.
So I hope there's never any doubt about that. For anyone who says there should be a welfare state for citizens.
But here's your problem: the Republicans don't even want to end the welfare state.
Oh yeah, they deserve to be put into the camps also.
The Republicans?
Yeah, they're part of a problem.
They are a huge part of the problem.
They're the problem.
When you talk to these Republicans about ending, if you talk to these Republicans about ending welfare, they're like, we can't, Social Security. We got to have Social Security because they've they got all these elderly voters that are getting checks from Social Security, and they don't want to be seen as the political party that wants to take away their check.
Well, also, a lot of Republicans, don't even want to end the open borders because they're going to say, where else are we going to get cheap labor to exploit?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, plenty. Well, the code, right? No, but many of them don't, right? It's like the Coke, even the Coke
are you saying they're in favor of open borders, or they're against it?
Yeah, they're in favor. Well, they're in favor of mass low-skilled migration because they don't have to pay them as much as they pay.
What you mean is there's certain people who favor the current immigration structure because it allows smuggling to happen, and then you get the ultimate low-paid workers because they're slaves at that point.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean, that's one way.
Because if you're smuggled in by a coyote and you've paid, right, because a lot of the people are paying the coyotes, they have to essentially become slaves or indentured servants for however long before they're let go, or sex slaves, all of that.
Child, yeah.
And so basically, you come in and you're working at Mitt Romney's mansion or something like that, and they're like, "Look, Jose, you don't like the hours, you don't like the pay. Well, if you complain about it, we'll just call ICE on you, and you're going home."
And instead of having deportations, a much easier and more humane thing to do would be just to go after these employers who are exploiting people, paying them like $2 an hour. If that.
Well, no, the best thing to do is to allow people to come and work at whatever rate that they can negotiate. There should be no minimum wage.
Well, I'm not trying to imply that. I'm just saying that, the employers that are doing that and perpetuating this system, they're the ones. Instead of having like a SWAT team show up to, a quinceañera or a, pinata party and arresting these people, arresting, illegal aliens, it's the employers should be the ones who get arrested. And, there's no job, then...
Well, they're the ones
who should face the consequences. That's it.
If the employer is knowingly employing somebody and threatening that person with deportation if they complain about their job, then yes, that employer is engaging in slavery. If it, on the other hand, is a free market and anybody can come and work for whoever wants to hire them, if I want to go and work for somebody for $2 an hour to sweep a parking lot, I should be able to go ahead and do that. But when it's a free market, I have the right to say, this job sucks, I'm leaving. But if I'm indentured to that person, they have control over me, and they can then call in the authorities, so-called, although it would also indict them to some extent. But they could report you, basically, and get you in trouble.
Yeah, and it's not, or they could just have you disappear or whatever.
Sure,
call
the coyotes back, call the gang back.
Or these gangs, exactly. Yeah, and also, I mean, it's like, it's not a total free market either, right? Like if, I know plenty of people and relatives in Europe who would love to come to the U.S. and work, but there's just too much red tape for it. And because they don't come from a country that has a lot of low-skilled labor that these, bigwig Republicans want and that'll vote Democrat like the Democrats want, they're not allowed to come over. And if they show up illegally, they're the ones who get deported.
So if you want to join the conversation here, the toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to David. He's in New Mexico listening on the TuneIn app. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I got threatened with arrest again for making a phone call. Oh, but first of all, a funny thing about what Sarah was telling you the other day. In the last couple of days, there was a cop that was out on the roadside picking up a dead body, pedestrian victim of a hit and run.
Mm-hmm.
And while he was there doing that, a drunk chick ran into his car.
Ooh. Did he end up getting hit or just the car?
He got hospitalized. He was sitting in the driver's seat doing his thing, and he got hospitalized and then released, and then he had to go back to the hospital again for something, but he didn't get killed, and he was in the vehicle.
Well, I don't take pleasure in the pain of others. It doesn't...
Yeah, but he's a cop, so you know what? You shouldn't have been a cop.
Right.
Well, you shouldn't have been a cop. But I still don't take pleasure in the pain of others.
Hear that, Ian? Hear that? It's the world's smallest violin playing for all the poor cops.
Anyway, David, what is this thing you were threatened with? What now?
So this whole thing I was telling you in bits and pieces about how this court-appointed attorney, this Jay Mueller dude, he didn't like me. So day one, contact one, he quit. But it took him 8 months to finally get around to filing the paperwork to get himself excused.
Yeah.
So that I can get a different attorney. And in dealing with that, I deal with the Bernalillo County 2nd Judicial District Children's Court Administrator Monica Rodriguez, and she's the one that finds the next attorney, or at least arranges it. And I called her, 2 days ago, I guess it was, on the phone, and she said, I just talked to you 2 days ago about this, and was telling me that don't call me more than once a week. And I said, you guys are mandated by, and I cited the statute number. You're mandated to appoint me an attorney, and you have a history, a 10-year history of being negligent in your duties. And so I'm calling you each day to check on the status. It only takes 2 minutes. And she said, if you call me on Tuesday, which would be a week from the last time you called, and if you call me back, I'm going to call the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Department, and to have
call
them
it
deal with me.
call it criminal harassment. Basically, you have to wonder: can a government bureaucrat who supposedly works for you file criminal harassment charges against you when they're on the job? Thanks for the call tonight, David. There's more coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, take control of the airwaves, bring up anything you want. And we haven't even really, we've actually had some calls tonight, which is nice, even though we got a late start with the live portion of the show due to a very important meeting that we discussed earlier. If you're just tuning in, you can always grab the archives of the show anytime you want over at freetalklive.com, so please do that. Also, want to make sure you know about our video clips. I think Eric Freerock's been posting like a couple clips a day of the show, of Free Talk Live. We do a long show, right? Like, this is a 3-hour radio show. And when you cut all the commercial breaks and the news breaks out and you compress all it down, it turns into a 2-hour-long podcast, 2-hour archive. But still, that's a hard thing to share with your family and friends. The average person who's new to something isn't going to sit down for 2 hours and listen to anything, no matter how much they like you. So, if you want to share a portion of Free Talk Live, do it with our video clips, now available over at clips.freetalklive.com. Like I said, we brought Eric Freerock from copblock.org out of retirement. He's back at it, editing video clips and putting them up on his own channel. So we're actually helping him build his channel, which is called Liberty Bits. Just go to clips.freetalklive.com, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get those on your YouTube subscription. Also, if you want to follow us on our social media, that's another way to be alerted to when these new clips are being posted, because as soon as it goes up on YouTube, thanks to the magic of IFTTT, if this then that, great website, very handy, it automatically reposts the link to that new YouTube on our Twitter at twitter.freetalklive.com, which you can follow that. You can follow us on Mastodon, where it posts them as well, over at toot.freetalklive.com, which is like a decentralized version of Twitter, and it's awesome. And then there's also our Telegram channel at telegram.freetalklive.com. So if you follow us in any of those places, you'll be seeing these Free Talk Live video clips, and you can easily share those out with your friends and family. Coming up, Vincent, we've got the story about guns in the United States. There's apparently a very bad bill that has been passed at the federal level. Yes. The House level. So we'll get into that. And we haven't even had a chance to talk about Trump and Kim Jong-un, which, in my opinion, I know the news media is talking a lot about this Michael Cohen thing, and that's dramatic and all that. But to me,
whenever they want to distract from something else, they have much ado about nothing type scandal. Right?
And I think that this Trump story is important. This Kim Jong North Korea thing. It was an important story last year when they met in June, or whenever it was. I think it was in June. And then it's an important story right now. So if we don't get a chance to cover that tonight, I definitely want to cover it, tomorrow or as soon as we can.
How about we cover that now, and then we could cover the gun in the after show?
I don't know. We teased the gun thing. If you tease a thing, you probably should try to at least do that. Of course, if we don't get to it, we don't get to it.
Hey, that supports rape culture, buddy.
We're open phones all the time here, so we got to go to the phones. That's what we do. Let's talk first to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yes. Speaking of gun control issue, so this state, I'm completely amazed with New Mexico, because our state passed a new gun control law, like 3 bills. Mm-hmm. And then 22 counties, 22 sheriffs are refusing to enforce it.
I thought it was like 29 or 30 sheriffs.
Well, it's 22 counties now, and there's like throw in another 6 or 8 cities. They're declaring themselves sanctuary.
I think that's wonderful. I think we need more sanctuary cities.
I have a new Las Cruces Sun News. It says at least 16 counties have adopted, quote, sanctuary resolutions. It says sheriffs should not be required to enforce any measures they consider unconstitutional.
I love it. I think this is great news, Sarah. I think we need to have more sheriffs around the country being sanctuary counties.
Well, hold on now a minute. We need real sanctuary counties, which includes firearms,
guns,
drugs, not
immigration.
But hold on. Like with this, Eli Rivera, he's the only sanctuary thing about this county is what's convenient to his party. So he doesn't deserve any accolades, right? Anyone who does quote pro-freedom thing to support their status goals does not deserve any accolades. So there's no real sanctuary county in the entire union.
I disagree with you. You're right on one point, and that is that we need to have a sheriff who is going to say, I'm not going to enforce any victimless crimes. That would be a true sanctuary county. However, if they get it right in one area,
no, it's not getting it right because he wants to turn it's to get as many voters in as possible, as many Democrat voters in as possible. That's why all these
it's
sanctuary
already that
cities,
way, dude. Keene's already a Democrat city.
Well, now it's just gonna, just gonna be a forever stronghold.
I don't care what the reasons are. If somebody does the right thing, I'm going to tell them they're doing the right thing.
Okay, so Adam
Waffen
wants meth and pipe bombs legalized. So would you say Adam Waffen? It's an allegedly neo-Nazi Antifa type agitator group. So do you want to say right now on record, right? Since you applaud Eli Rivera for making Cheshire County,
who's the sheriff of Cheshire County.
So will you applaud Adam Waffen for wanting to have meth and pipe bombs legalized?
Even a broken clock strikes right.
Okay,
a couple times a day.
So you say you applaud Adam Waffen. I want you to hear it. I want to yes or however you want it.
I will say that if somebody's right on something, I will give them credit for being right on
Adam
something,
Waffen,
even if it's for the wrong reasons. So
here's the thing is that within the state you cannot declare sanctuary. You could only do that as a
apparently they can.
Sanctuary.
Apparently they can, and they did. What are you going to do? Arrest the sheriff?
Well, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah?
And,
get video. If you're going to do it,
a citizen's arrest. Do a citizen's arrest on the cops. Sarah.
I want it on video. I want to see you, Sarah, go up to the sheriff and put him in handcuffs.
Look, I'm not authorized to do that, but it's a new state law.
Oh, you're no fun.
You declare a sanctuary city against the federal law, like New Mexico. We're friendly to immigrants.
Well, apparently you're wrong about that. Apparently the sheriffs in New Mexico can declare whatever the hell they want. And I think as far as them not enforcing bad laws, they ought to be able to do that. They shouldn't be able to enforce things that don't exist, make up things that aren't actually on the books. But if you're going to have a government, and I don't want to have a coercive government, I want the idea of human institutionalized coercive agencies like governments to disappear from the face of the earth. But as long as a government is going to exist, as long as the state and these local governments are going to exist, I think people need to have a conscience. I think these people need to use their conscience and apply their conscience. And when a state legislature passes something that's unconstitutional, passes something that takes away people's freedoms and their rights, then what I would say is those sheriffs, whether it be on immigration, whether it be on guns, whether it be on not enforcing drug laws, they ought to be applauded for getting it right. Now, unfortunately, as you point out, Vincent, they get it wrong most of the time, and they're still hurting peaceful, innocent people left and right, and that's tragic. And well, that's the sort of the nature of the state. It hurts people, and that's what you love about it, right, Sarah? You want to hurt people.
Okay, what is the point of having legislature sessions? What's the point of having new laws and passed bills? And
I agree. We shouldn't have them.
We ask ourselves that every show.
We shouldn't have new laws passed. What do you need more laws for?
We need less law. We need sunset clauses.
Right. That's right. In fact, we were talking about that tonight. Thanks for the call, Sarah. We were talking about that tonight at this meeting just after afterwards while we were just kind of hanging out waiting for the votes to get counted. Rich Paul was proposing the idea that we need to have it to where they can only pass a thing if it's got like 90%, and if it goes below 80%, it gets undone. And then somebody else said what there needs to be is a sunset clause to where every single piece of every law comes up for a repass in 5 years or 3 years or something like that. That way, if it doesn't pass again, it expires. And then we'd have a whole lot fewer laws on the books. And that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, only the stuff that, like, the essential stuff.
Murder, rape, arson, things that involve victims, those aren't not going to sunset.
Even roads.
Wait, what?
Probably, infrastructure, too, I imagine, just the basic stuff, like. Instead of I think it'd be easier for, Congress to say, okay, we need to support infrastructure versus, okay, we need an omnibus bill where, we have 20 trillion different things get funded.
I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I think most people would rather see a bridge get built than innocent people bombed around the world.
But yeah, sunset clauses definitely. I think they used to be a thing, but I don't know if they were done away with or.
It depends. There are some bills that have sunset clauses in them, but I don't know if it exists. Yeah, I don't know if it exists in any state where everything comes up for sunset.
Anything non-constitutional gets sunset clauses.
More on the way here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in, toll free to join us here and bring up whatever you want. In these remaining moments, there's enough time for you. At 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
Don't forget, Vincent has his own radio show. It's called Questioning Authority. It is heard. Well, actually, you got two radio shows. But the one that's on LRN.FM is on every Saturday night from 10 p.m. until midnight Eastern Time, which is right after Free Talk Live's radio show ends. So tune in to LRN.FM on Saturday for more of Vincent, and also website?
ShireFreeMedia.com.
All right.
So, yeah, you've been waiting a year. You've been pestering me for a year every time you do the plug, which I always appreciate, to get a website. Just to get, or ever since I started, right? The Libsyn didn't work, so you have a website.
You got it.
ShireFreeMedia.com.
Let's go to the phones. To the phone, we got Matthew. He's in Louisiana, listening online via TuneIn. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, well, according to Sticks and Hammer 666, love that guy. Trump is going to veto this thing. This is the universal background checks.
Oh, is this the news that Vincent was going to tell us about, but hasn't had yet time to tell us about?
Yes, that was it. But there's something else I'd like to bring up, and that is if a private corporation starts to, if all these big banks start to combine their forces to crush you, it's not the government. So,
well, yeah, it is. I mean, the banks are basically the government.
Corporations have government protection anyway.
Corporations were created by the government, but further, banks specifically are highly regulated by the government. They do not exist without government approval, and everything about them is government controlled.
I'd say it's vice versa. The government can't do anything without the bank's approval.
Right. Well, this is the thing is that I'm watching Chase Bank just deplatform anybody they disagree with, and I'm like, holy.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about Bitcoiners, marijuana businesses? Who's getting deplatformed?
Primarily just political activists who are, right of center. There was this black Cuban American who was one of the founding members of the Proud Boys, and he lost his bank account. Then there was another guy.
Now what are the circumstances around that? Does he have any indication that it has to do with the fact that he's in the Proud Boys, or did he just bounce a few too many checks, and they were like, yeah, we don't want you anymore?
All indications are that I've been able to find out. Now, mind you, of course, the total truth is always difficult to find out. Anybody thinks that they have it, you're delusional. But all indications is that it just has to do with his association with the Proud Boys. And there's a couple other people that this has been happening to. And, Tommy Robinson lost his Facebook account, and now Amazon won't sell his books. And wow.
Now, who's this?
Really
another righty?
Well, Cantwell lost his process.
This is a guy, Tommy Robinson, that's not his real name. It's his stage name. He was one of the founders of the English Defense League in the UK. And when this started going let's go behave like Nazis without being German, he kind of walked away from that. but he basically, he is definitely on the right side of the political spectrum, or the political square, if you will.
So I don't know. I'm going to call this one into question here, because I do agree that Facebook and other companies certainly have targeted people for their political beliefs and have, removed them or deplatformed, or whatever term you want to use. That's certainly true. But when it comes to Chase Bank, and by no means am I defending Chase Bank, okay? I've been removed from Chase Bank, but it didn't have anything to do with my politics. But the thing is, I don't really know what it had to do with, because when these banks, these mega corporate banks, break up with you, what they do is they send you a letter saying, usually it's very terse, it's very curt. It says, Mr. Matthew in Louisiana, we've determined that we no longer wish to do business with you, and our contract with you says that we can break up with you anytime we want, and we don't have to tell you why. Bye now. And then essentially, here's a check. If you don't withdraw all your money by X date, which is usually within like a week or so of getting the letter, depends. Sometimes it's as many as 3 weeks. Sometimes it's 3 days. Depends on how quickly they want to get rid of you. Then they'll then cut you a check for the amount that is left in the account, and you're done. That's it. They don't tell you why they're getting rid of you. And I will say this: knowing Chris Cantwell, as an individual, as a friend, he's a hard friend to have. But I know for a fact he didn't get kicked out of his banks.
Well, he lost his payment processor.
He lost his payment processor, but he didn't get kicked out of his banks.
Processor?
Huh?
Who was his payment processor?
I don't know. It was like Stripe or Square, one of those big, internet-based.
Okay. That's another piece of the puzzle. Thanks, I appreciate
Honestly,
that.
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I'm just saying it was like one of those. I don't know if it was even one of those two, but it was like one of those internet kind of, anybody can sign up for credit card things. I think.
Let me ask you all a question. When's the next time you're going to have Lauren on?
Lauren? You mean Laurel, the attorney?
Yeah, Laurel. I'm sorry. I keep doing that.
I think she's coming on Tuesday, if I am not mistaken. So, Matthew, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's go to – so, again, I am not a fan of big banks, right? Like we had a conversation earlier about credit unions versus banks. Bigger, not necessarily better in a lot of cases, and banks certainly the bigger they get, generally the less personable they are.
I mean, it's a form of economic warfare. Like Hitler, the Nazis, they tried to get the Jews and all dissidents deplatformed, wouldn't let them do business or anything. And then by the time, they're all poor, and then he was, shipping them off into boxcars to be killed. So, I mean, that's what they do. They attack the money first, and then when you're poor and destitute, then they censor you so no one can hear about your plight. And then you're poor, you can't speak, and then, you're killed and you don't exist anymore.
Well, thankfully, it's still open phones here on Free Talk Live, so you can speak here no matter how rich or poor you are. Go ahead. Flea Market Penguin is on the line on Discord.
Hey guys, I just was listening to you. I was on the fence about calling in, but you were talking about the sheriffs and sanctuary, nullifying certain laws. And I totally agree that you should offer positive reinforcement when people do things you like. Then when people do things good, even if you don't support them in their general activities. So on that note, I think that we should not hesitate to stop ragging on for a period of time without agreeing with their ideology, and give praise as in positive reinforcement when it's due to some of the younger social democrat representatives in Congress when they seem to, because look, let's face it, they've done several things, but several of them, but they have this tendency to really have some kind of weird faith in government where like it's meant to be good.
He's a surrogate parent for them.
They do call out a lot of the bad stuff going on, whether it's Ilhan Omar calling out AIPAC, whether it's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez calling out some of the corruption in the electoral progress, and we often on this show you often call out the corrupt politicians and hypocritical politicians, and I don't think that it should be any reason not to give praise to them to call out some of the bad elements.
We've mentioned on the air that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that she has some positions on, for instance, criminal justice reform that are okay, that are decent from what I've seen. So I mean, but it's not something I'm going to spend time doing is praising politicians for saying something. I mean, that's ultimately not that impressive. Politicians, frequently will talk a good game. They'll say things that you want to hear. They'll say things that you want them to say. Until they actually do something, it's not really that much worth talking about.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the solutions. Believe me, I would not like the solutions if they said it. But I predict that we will continue hearing these younger Democrat representatives in these hearings. So in these hearings, when they're just trying to get information, that's really what I'm thinking about. And I guess tweeting as well. That's what people do now in politics. But calling out and asking questions that you would not otherwise hear from other people. And I think that's and just like Republicans sometimes get praise from libertarians, quite often sometimes when they do things that libertarians like, I think that we shouldn't hesitate to give positive reinforcement to these things. Ultimately, if there's generally positive, a good publicity behind something, it'll reinforce that behavior, hopefully. So calling out something like AIPAC, and then having like Ilhan Omar having obviously just an avalanche of criticism because she criticized the uncriticizable.
Gotcha.
And
yeah, I mean, by all means, our phones are open at all times. Feel free to do that, because I don't pay any attention to what any of these politicians say. So honestly, I have no idea what they're saying. I certainly don't read their tweets. Hey, thanks for the call, Flea Market Penguin. I appreciate it. Hey, we're not done yet. The radio show's over, but we're going to continue online at twitch.lrn.fm in just a few moments with our uncensored Twitch-only after show called Free Your Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. We're at Anarchapulco 2019 as the day is coming to a close. Vendors are packing up shop around us.
Sun's going down.
Yep, sun's going down. The final evening here, although it's not quite over. People still going to be hanging out and probably partying here tonight, because this isn't just your typical convention. It's also a mix of a wide variety of folks, and it's really just absolutely great. The location's fantastic. The weather's been perfect. What can you say that's bad about Anarchapulco? I really can't find anything to dislike about this event. It's just it really is the world's premier liberty-oriented event right now.
Yeah, it really is.
And it earned that title, I think, last year, and it earned it for good reason. And it's kept the title, I think, this year as well. And I would say there's not even anything that's even close to displacing it at this point.
Probably some of the people didn't come this year. Certainly some speakers didn't come because of the pallor of the murder and that was surrounded. That was somewhere sort of secondarily related to the event.
An anarchist in Acapulco got killed, got shot to death.
Yep.
We still don't know the story as far as what the truth is on that.
Nope.
Was it an inside job? Was it a gangland killing by the cartels for some reason, because he was allegedly involved in maybe growing some marijuana, maybe selling some cocaine or something like that? I've heard rumors. Who knows what the
love
truth
triangle is. I've heard everything.
Yeah, and of course libertarians are wont to talk about these things.
Sure.
They've got all kinds of things they discuss on the internet, and of course one of the things they discuss a lot on the internet are their favorite cryptocurrencies ad infinitum. I always have said that I wish these libertarians, whether it be on cryptocurrency or their favorite activism forms, would just focus on doing things rather than arguing with one another. We'd be a heck of a lot more productive as a group of people. We've got Sterlin Lujan with us here, who is kind of our every year guest here at. You just got in at the under the wire here. We're almost probably going to start breaking up the studio here after this one. You're from Bitcoin.com, and you are currently the communications ambassador there and opinion editor.
Yeah, Ian, that's absolutely right. Thanks for having me on the show. This is amazing. I am still doing the communications ambassador job, just like I was doing last year. So I have done a lot of traveling, a lot of public speaking in the crypto sphere. I've been talking a lot about what we're doing at Bitcoin.com and sort of how this ecosystem is growing, even though it doesn't look like it's growing because we have this bear market that sort of cast a pall over the industry, and people are looking like, well, are we going to be able to do
the ominous crypto winter?
That's right. It has come and befallen, and all doom and gloom is showing over us. But actually,
because everybody's all worried about the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies rather than the utility. The utility is just as functional as it was at the top of the market, a year ago.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The utility, I would say, is shining even more brightly now than ever, because during this kind of consolidation phase in the space, all the hype has started to die down, and all the people who have been interested in defrauding people in the ecosystem, who have been interested in scamming people, or who have just had shitty business models, have been kind of cast out of the ecosystem.
Right.
Now what we have
the cleansing.
That's right. The purge.
And I'm sure it'll come again. I mean, somehow .coms, the internet, survived the .com boom. Right?
Yeah, that's right. All the pets.coms got eliminated from that environment. That's right.
Well, right. The serious players in this case, they double down. You know, they hold, if not increase their holdings, and the people that are in this for the long haul, they just keep going forward.
The Amazons, the Googles, the whatever it is, whichever cryptocurrencies and whichever businesses that are going to make it up out of this marketplace are here now.
Remember, I mean, for all the bear market claims, and it is a bear market because it came down from a peak, but it's still as strong as it was in the summer of 2017, right? Like, we're talking about a price point that is basically August, September of 2017. Am I right about this?
Yeah, that's right. Even Bitcoin is still up greatly. The market is still up in comparison to what it's been in the past. And it's natural for these crypto markets to go through these cycles.
Yeah, this is not the first time.
Yeah, that's right.
And it won't be the last.
That's right. It was in 2014. It went up to like...
It was 2013. The end of 2013 is when it peaked to about 1,100. The price of Bitcoin went up to about 1,100.
Like 200 or 300.
Yeah. But it took like 6 months for it to go, maybe even longer, for it to kind of falter down to about $200, $250, and then it took 3 years to get back up to the point of hitting that 1,100, and that's when it was on that run up, and then we ended up at 20,000.
Yeah, great point, Ian.
Are you claiming that it stayed at around $300 to $200, $200 to $300 for 2.5 years? Is that
no? It didn't stay at that point, but it took that long to get back up to the 1,100. So it went up to around 1,000 at the end of 2016, if I recall correctly. So it was about $1,000 at the end of 2016, which would have been about 2.5 years after. No, it would have been 3 years basically.
Yeah,
but about 2.5 years since it hit about 250.
Yeah, I don't know. The studying of patterns is always very interesting, and
it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
It doesn't
for tomorrow.
necessarily mean how things are going to go in the future or anything like that. What is meaningful to me in the crypto sphere, and the reason that I continue to recommend cryptocurrency, people, if you're looking at it for an investment, I'm still recommending that you have, some percentage, 5%. 10% of your holdings in
something
cryptocurrency.
You can afford to lose.
Something you can afford to lose. Here's the reason. Because the smartest people I know, and I'm a pretty smart person. These people leave me in the dust kind of smart. The smartest people I know are in this sphere. They're working their butts off, and they're passionate. And those things really, really matter. Cryptocurrency is an advancement in the technology of money. If you don't believe that, you're just wrong, okay? Like, there were people...
You are uninformed.
Right. There are people out there that are saying, these credit cards are never going to take off. This internet's a stupid thing. What do I need an internet for? I have a fax machine. And you're right. At the time the internet was going along, your fax machine was fine. However, that doesn't change the fact that 10 years later, your fax machine was a pain in the ass. It was going off all the time, and your internet was the thing you were using.
Well, and the fax machine's still the same as it was in 1989,
Right. And the Bible said 2,000 years ago, my people perish for lack of vision. And, if you're one of these Luddites that is out there that I don't need cryptocurrency, you're probably one of them that cares about what the Bible says. Understand that you will perish for lack of vision. And I don't mean actually die. I just mean be poor and left in the dirt.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that happens, I think people get even too hung up on the price. Yeah, this isn't just a speculative interest that we have in cryptocurrencies. I think the price is going to be great for a lot of cryptocurrencies that actually win. But what it boils down to, and one of the reasons that we at Bitcoin.com are constantly trying to get people into the space, is because this is the technology that is going to be used and is already being used to undermine the state apparatus, to get out from underneath having to deal with the cartelized bank system and all of these evil kleptocrats who seek to steal our money and to render us basically helpless before this financial system. This is the type of people we're trying to get out from under, and this is what we've been doing in the Bitcoin Cash space. We're actually building the tools that not only provides this ecosystem with value, but that also allows people to use it in a variety of different ways. And let me just give an example of something that we've been working on.
I was going to ask you, because I always hear about these cool Bitcoin Cash tools that people are developing, and I never really keep a real close finger on it. So what are the hot, what are a couple of the good examples?
Yeah, so, and this is all happening right now. There's what we're working on is a total privacy implementation to wallets on Bitcoin Cash. It's called Cash Shuffle, and this is like a mixer that's built into wallets. So previously you've probably heard of mixers where you have to send your cryptocurrency out to an outbound company, and then they mix your coins and send it in order to try to keep it private. But this isn't truly private, right? Any government, any agent can come in and they can effectively find your information on these cash mixers. They can still get you if they want to subpoena these mixers, right? So this Cash Shuffle protocol is going to be integrated into wallets that mixes these cryptocurrency addresses, so creating a privacy network within the Bitcoin Cash network. And this thing exists right now.
So it doesn't mix coins; it mixes addresses.
So, yeah, that's something that I'm still a little confused on myself.
Okay.
I think that it's mixing coins, but it's built in to a wallet.
Okay,
right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it's working. Now, there's some other things that are going on in the space too, and this is where I think, in my mind, I'm well beyond the cryptocurrency wars in the sense of people getting ugly with each other and like trying to talk about what is Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. I'm over that, and this is why. So, in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem, we've also enabled the opcodes. And these particular opcodes allow developers to build technologies on top of the Bitcoin Cash network, and it allows for easy access to these open source codes. That's easy for people to fork and to create new things. So at Bitcoin.com, one of our developers created Badger.bitcoin.com. And Badger is the equivalent...
Badger wallet.
That's right, Badger wallet. And it's the equivalent of Ethereum's MetaMask that effectively acts as an API interface, a wallet that you can have online that interfaces with different applications on the web, right? So one of the things this does, and here's what's been created most recently, there's a protocol called Honest.cash. It's brand new. I just got invited to be a person to use it, but it's basically essentially a Patreon on top of the Bitcoin Cash network.
What?
So I've already been producing some content and putting it out on this Honest.cash network, and allows people to upvote with Bitcoin Cash. And how it works is it interfaces with the Badger network that we created. And this is happening. This is all up and running and live right now.
So wait, it's not a Patreon where it's a monthly subscription.
No. Not yet. That functionality I think they're going to add that functionality. Right now, it's purely based on upvotes with Bitcoin Cash.
Because monthly subscriptions are something that do not exist in cryptocurrency.
That's coming
because the reason why it hasn't existed, and I'm not saying it couldn't come. I'm not the engineer who's going to figure out how to do it. But the fundamental difference between Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general and the old system, the old money system that we're used to, is when somebody has your credit card information, they can just pull money from your account. Whereas with crypto, the buyer, has to authorize to push money out of your account, which means that you can't have a monthly system or at least up until now, you can't have a monthly system like a PayPal or a credit card where we can reach in and pull $5 a month for our, say, the Free Talk Live AMP program. We take Bitcoin for AMP, but the only way we can do it is prepaid. So the person has to come in and say, all right, I'll buy 6 months. I'll buy 3 months. I'll buy a year. Here's the amount. Okay, then we set your expiration date out that many months, and then they have to come back and re-up it after that. So if there's a way to do that with Bitcoin Cash somehow in the future, I don't know how you would do it. You'd have to have some sort of pre-authorization or what? I have no idea.
So one of the ways that this can possibly be done and what people have been talking about, and I'm not sure, I'm not a developer, so I don't know all the technical intricacies of this, but using smart contracts would be one way to create these pre-authorizations, so people would have to dial in a smart contract on the computer.
And is that now a thing with Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah,
smart contracts.
Yeah, so smart contracts are people can build smart contracts now on the Bitcoin Cash platform, and that's how some of all these new platforms are able to crop up. And the reason why that's happened is simply because we've enabled the opcodes. And also, the one place to look at where this is going to be happening most readily is on the Wormhole protocol, which we also created at Bitcoin.com. And what this is going to be used for is so people can also generate tokens, just like the Ethereum network can, on top of the Bitcoin Cash platform. So all this functionality that Ethereum has is what. And you guys, the one thing about this could have existed on Bitcoin Core, on the Bitcoin protocol. And Vitalik Buterin, Vitalik was originally going to build Ethereum on top of the Bitcoin network, but he got pushed out of that, and that didn't happen. So now that's going to be happening on the Bitcoin Cash network. It is effectively.
That's great.
Yeah.
So the smart contract solves that to where you've got a certain amount of Bitcoin Cash in your wallet. And there's this smart contract that, say you want to join the AMP program, which this isn't possible yet, but at some point maybe it will be. And then it says, okay, well, smart contract says you will pay this amount in Bitcoin Cash, and maybe it could even be made to calculate on the dollar, so the amount could change every month, right? Because you don't want to say, I'm willing to spend a whole Bitcoin Cash or whatever per month and then have it go up in value. So have it based on the dollar. Okay, do you agree to this? Yes, I agree to it. And then it just starts deducting on a monthly basis from that amount. Now, of course, just like a credit card or a debit card or something like that, you could buy a car with the rest of your Bitcoin Cash and then you're down to zero in your wallet. That would effectively then make the smart contract fail because it wouldn't be able to, and then you'd lose your subscription at that point. So that would be amazing.
Yeah, that right there is the absolute solution. And I haven't talked to the developers at Honest.cash about their specific mindset in terms of this, because right now it's just basically upvoting like we talked about. So I'd be curious.
Like Steemit.
Yeah, like Steemit. Of course, Steemit uses smart contracts in the sense of the Steam Power is effectively a smart contract for upvoting content, and then you being able to release that back into your wallet is executed through a smart contract. But this was Andreas Antonopoulos talked about this a lot. This is the whole purpose of having programmable money. You want your money to be able to do a lot of different things for you, especially interface with different applications on the web. Because if you're using programmable money in this way, that really adds a lot more value to the network. And this is why I personally believe Bitcoin Cash's value proposition will continue to rise. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be worth $1 billion in the future. We're not looking at Bitcoin Cash as a speculative asset or as a digital commodity. It is fucking cash. It is to be used as cash. Yeah.
Awesome.
What there's so many digital currencies that are out there. And cryptocurrencies. Why would somebody want to focus on Bitcoin Cash as an investment or as just a project, rather than any of these other projects that are out there? I mean, there's just so many of them. If the internet's to be believed, Roger Vere's a bad guy and Bitcoin Cash is garbage. I mean, I watch every single week. I watch the Bitcoin.com news on YouTube, and the first people that comment are just these trolls that seem to have nothing better to do with their time than say the meanest things that they can possibly come up with.
These people are professionals at the ad hominem fallacy. They simply attack the character, and a lot of them aren't saying anything of substance. But I will say, to answer your question directly, first I'll say I'm not a maximalist. I don't believe that just Bitcoin Cash is the answer. Our goal is to, put cryptocurrency on a pedestal so that the masses can come into contact with this cryptocurrency and affects them on a deep level and provides them with financial responsibility and financial freedom. And, guys, that's what we've all been after, I think, ever since the cypherpunks and Timothy May wrote the Crypto Anarchist Manifesto. This was the goal. So I think any of these cryptocurrencies can be raised up to a level of beauty and brilliance. Now, why Bitcoin Cash, I think, is specifically poised to run in this direction is because we've really allowed people to get involved in the space, and I think all the developers have, by really being transparent with this open source architecture on Bitcoin Cash. A lot of different protocols have already been forked, and new things have been created off. And I'll give you some more information on that later. No, they're not coming to mind. It's been a long day at the moment. And then we have actually a toolkit that we developed at Bitcoin.com that provides developers with easy access to Bitcoin Cash development. It's called the Bitcoin Cash SDK.
Yep, software development kit.
Yep.
Another reason is a lot of these projects are passion projects, and passion wanes.
That's right.
And the project withers. Many of them have withered completely. They're just gone. The fact is that Bitcoin Cash is funded. And, so if there's some project that's important to the Bitcoin.com community, it's going to get funding in order to be completed. And that's pretty darned important. When I think about, say, BTC Bitcoin, who's paying and why and all these things, all these maximalists that love Bitcoin.com, what I don't see are, I don't see a vision clearly stated. They feel like they've hit the finish line.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I don't see, how they can claim whatever this finish line is that they claim they've hit.
I think, Mark, you said Bitcoin.com. Did you mean Bitcoin BTC?
I said
Maximalist.
The Maximalist BTC Bitcoin.
You said Maximalist for Bitcoin.com. Just wanted to...
Yeah, I interpreted that as him meaning Bitcoin BTC.
I figured you'd interpreted it right, but I just wanted to make sure it got corrected.
Yeah.
Must have been a long week.
Yeah, it has been a long week. Now, and I'll bring up another point why people have a particular interest in Bitcoin Cash. Besides our open mindset with all kinds of people getting involved, it's also one of the few cryptocurrencies with an expanded blockchain block size limit. So if you have that expansive block size limit, it provides an opportunity for you to work with micropayments, microtransactions, which is not really feasible on a lot of these other blockchains.
Well, that's why Bitcoin Cash became a thing in the first place.
Yes.
Was, over this gigantic fight that had been happening within the Bitcoin community for a couple of years that terminated in 2017, the summer of 2017, when the Bitcoin BTC fees were going insane. Gone up to $2, $3, $4, $5, all the way up to 10, 20 at one point.
100.
Well, I'm talking about average, or
I don't care.
Yeah,
right.
either way.
I care about the fee I had to pay, and I paid a $67 fee
at one point
to transfer, and it has not been addressed.
And so the Bitcoin Cash folks said, you know what, we're tired of arguing over this. You guys don't want to implement what you believed, and I think I agree, was the solution, which was to increase the block size, which is this technical, easy thing that they can do that would have, in theory, been supported by Satoshi Nakamoto, because originally he didn't even have a block size on Bitcoin, if I recall correctly.
No, you're exactly right, Ian. I think we talked about this briefly the last year when I got on, but the whole issue with that was the only reason a block size began to exist was to prevent people from spamming the network. It was a guard against those spam attacks. But once the network grows naturally, the idea was to increase that block size and have it naturally adapt to market conditions. And there's been some people talking about, even on the Bitcoin Cash network, to have this constantly adapting block size limit to keep up with the pace of market activity.
Right, and so when Bitcoin Cash schismed, if you will, or split off from Bitcoin BTC back in August of 2017. Didn't you guys start with 8 megabyte blocks, and then after a little while you went up to 32?
32, that's right. Yeah, 32.
So you've got all this headroom now. Like, I mean, it's huge amounts of headroom.
Right, a transaction is about 0.2 cents. And that means that I can, like somebody's article on the internet, decide I'm going to give a dime or a quarter. Maybe I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to give them 17 cents. And then it costs me 17.2 cents to give them 17 cents. I can bear that fee without feeling bad.
With Bitcoin BTC,
however,
you're going to spend 20 cents at least.
Right.
At least.
Well, at the very least now. But Bitcoin BTC's problem is either they have to stay in crypto winter in Siberia, and nothing going on right now, or success means $100 fees
right,
again.
because they haven't fixed the problem. It'll go right back to where it was.
If segregated witness means that they've increased the block size by, effectively increased the block size by double, which is kind of what they'll claim. Okay, so now we have half of the cataclysmic problem we had in December 2017.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your help. If Lightning Network means everybody's got to be onboarded, are you telling me that this already difficult currency to get people to use is now another step harder to use?
Yeah.
Boy, you guys are just real problem solvers, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, man, you guys. And there's something that the reason why I said I don't even care about the wars anymore, it's almost funny to me that I hear these guys still talking about the Lightning Network and importance of the Lightning Network. We've blown well beyond that in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. We're working on various forms of programming.
We've got the decentralized dance party coming in here. Yeah. That's why the music is going to get really loud.
Oh, yeah.
Here for just a moment.
There they go. Dancing away.
Wow. Perfect.
I think we're going to have to wait it out, guys.
Yeah. I don't know where the music is. It must be way in the back.
Yeah, I would like to thank all the BTC Bitcoin developers for working on the new possible implementation of Lightning Network for Bitcoin Cash. Because if Bitcoin Lightning Network works, then it can be, it's tested, and it works for 2 or 3 years on the Bitcoin network, the Bitcoin Cash can implement it. But right now, Bitcoin can handle all the transactions that at any point that has ever occurred on the Bitcoin network, and it can do it for less than a penny a transaction.
That's absolutely right.
This is the solution we wanted, the solution we needed, and the solution that the maximalists and the small blockers stood in the way of for 3 years. And I'm supposed to let that go.
That's right.
I'm sorry, I'm not that big of a guy. I'm just not. Yeah, when you stand in the way of innovation for 3 years, expect me to be angry about it. All I want to see is some progress in the right direction, and I still don't see it.
Yeah,
the
Mark.
people I see in the Bitcoin sphere, the BTC sphere, are people who missed out on the big profits, and they still want it, and they're convinced that this is the place to get it.
Well said. Well said.
Damn. All right, then.
Yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. In my mindset, not only did they stifle innovation, and they didn't even use honest means, and we don't have to get deep into this, but the censorship that existed then still exists now. People can't even talk about decent ways to expand the block size.
Yeah.
Without it getting censored and taken off.
Well, I mean, this is the sort of the historical king of the hill mentality, right?
Sure. Once you're on top.
Right, you get to the top, it's like, we were first. We don't really have to do anything.
Right. Why would you innovate when you're on top?
Yeah. So,
innovation seems like a terrible
and
idea.
There's
when you're on top.
look, I'm not. I agree with you, Sterlin. I'm by no means am I a Bitcoin Cash cheerleader. I'm not employed by Bitcoin.com. I use whatever I think is going to work best, and I think Bitcoin Cash is a workable cryptocurrency. We do have some businesses in Keene that are accepting Bitcoin Cash. At the point of sale through AnyPay. AnyPay just re-enabled it. They had to take it down to do some work behind the scenes for a while, but they've just re-enabled Bitcoin Cash. But the reality is, Dash had better timing as far as point of sale was concerned, and that's just the way it worked out, because when Bitcoin Cash forked was when all the shit was happening with the Bitcoin fees, and at that time we'd already had a bunch of businesses in Keene that were taking Bitcoin BTC, but their business went down to zero because nobody wants to spend $5 to buy a $5 hamburger on top of that, because nobody wants to do that. That's insane.
You shouldn't be buying a hamburger with Bitcoin? Oh, no, you should be buying a hamburger with Bitcoin. I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah. Well, we did in Keene before the shit hit the fan.
Right.
And so when that shit was hitting the fan was at the same time, like right around when Bitcoin Cash came out. It was unproven. We didn't know what this thing. Who knows what this is going to do? So I couldn't go to a business owner and be like, hey, let's try this brand new thing out. So instead, we went and pitched them Dash, because AnyPay launched with Dash as their alternative to Bitcoin BTC, and it was like, all right. And then the interesting thing was, I was worried. I'm thinking, all right, business owners know what Bitcoin is. At least they know of it, right? Nobody's heard of Dash. My thought was, I'm going to go around to these business owners with my hat in my hand saying, I'm sorry, this Bitcoin BTC thing just didn't work out the way I thought that it would. I apologize, because I helped get a lot of these guys on board. And then I asked them, well, there's this other cryptocurrency over here. And this may, I think, bode well for Bitcoin Cash, because when I pitched them on the alternative, which at the time was Dash, 100% of them were like, yes, let's do it, because they're into cryptocurrency.
Right.
They're not, on board with Dash. They're not on board with Bitcoin. They're not on board with Bitcoin Cash. They're on board with the idea of
selling products.
They're selling products to their customers, but also getting a currency that is finally in control, like by them. It is controlled by the people rather than the banks and the government. So that's why when I found out that AnyPay was adding Bitcoin Cash, I went around to a few of the more popular local businesses. I'm like, hey, would you want to take a third one? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do Bitcoin Cash.
One of the advantages that Dash has currently is the Dash back program.
I know.
And so I can go and see the local bar. I can, buy some nachos and a beer, and I get 10% back from Dash. Now, Bitcoin Cash has a vision that is much more global and widespread, and their goal, it's going to be very difficult to give 10% in every circumstance, but today it's about incentives. Humans react to incentives.
That's right.
That's why people are going to continue using Dash on into the future, as long as Dash back is there. And
once the Dash back's gone, then I'm going to have to make other decisions.
Well, and I would love to see a Bitcoin Cash back. I think that's something that could happen. AnyPay could easily implement that, but they don't have the funding source for it. So this is one of the,
The merchant could also fund it too. I mean,
they could, but the thing with Dashback is it doesn't require the merchant to do anything.
Right.
So with Dashback, I don't know if you're familiar at all with this, but it's
not real familiar with Dashback. Yeah.
So as you know, Dash has the treasury feature, right? Where 10% of the mining rewards go into this treasury, which is then voted on by their masternodes. And so AnyPay made a proposal over the summer of 2018 after already building the system. They already built the Dashback system, and they funded it with their own Dash.
Oh, nice.
Just to to prove that this thing worked. And so it was up and running for a couple months in Keene and in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and we were all using it, testing it out, and it was great, right?
Nice.
So they then went to AnyPay and said, hey, this is a way that we can promote Dash, encourage people to actually spend their crypto, because that's the other trick, is getting crypto people who are just holders to actually spend it on things.
Right.
So the 10% discount is an incentive to actually, maybe I ought to spend this stuff and buy some more. So that worked. And so this was the incentive that was necessary to really get people excited about spending cryptocurrency. And there's no reason why Bitcoin Cash couldn't do it, except they don't have that treasury. Anything Bitcoin Cash has to spend is either coming out of Roger Vere's pocket or out of some sort of donations from some kind of fundraiser, right?
Bitcoin.com makes money, but yeah, I mean that's not the solution. What the solution is saveatpurse.com, where you can go save between 15 and 25% on everything that you want to get at Amazon,
sure.
And you can pay with Bitcoin.
No doubt,
cash.
but that doesn't help me when I'm out buying barbecue in downtown Keene.
Nope.
So I think buying things in real life is super cool, and I think that's what we want to have happen, right? If Bitcoin Cash is supposed to be used in commerce, we don't just want that to be online. We want that to be in real life.
That's
I want
right.
to be able
at the point of sale. That's
right.
right. Yeah, and I mean, one of the big issues here is it's all about, it's really before even incentivizing people with, using discounts. That's a great idea, and it sounds like it worked out really well for Dash and their masternode system, but also simply usability, making sure user experience and user interface on these protocols are up to speed will compel more people, I think, to want to use the platforms and the protocols. One of the biggest, I think, barriers to entry in the crypto space has been usability. People don't feel comfortable using cryptocurrency. Ernest Hancock's always talks about the grandma just button. Right, as we know. So that's one of the things we want to be able to make it as easily usable as possible. Then perhaps we can integrate these incentive systems in to get more people using it. But I think also this is going to be there's going to be a lot of outreach, and there's going to be a lot more work on the developer side of it.
Dashback isn't sustainable.
Right.
It's just a promotion, right? As soon as the masternodes get a hair up their butt, they're going to vote it down. Poof. And they already voted one of their proposals down. So, who knows how long it's going to last for. But at the very least, it was a promotion, and all things considered, it worked pretty well to get people excited about spending cryptocurrency. So I hope that we can see something like that with Bitcoin Cash in the future to really set it above all of the rest of the the cryptos that want to be the real life crypto, because you got Dash, you got now Smart Cash is angling for the real life usage. So again, there's competition, and we love that.
That's right. Except some of the folks over at Bitcoin Core aren't too big on competition.
Well, they're not trying. Well, right, but they're not trying to be
they're already,
used in real life.
They're already king of the hill, right?
Well, they don't want, and they don't even want it. Like you said, Mark, if you talk about buying a cup of coffee, Bitcoin's not for buying coffee; it's for saving.
Right. It's Schrodinger's cup of coffee, because on on one hand, Schrodinger's currency. On one hand, it's for buying a cup of coffee. On the other hand, it's not. As they wish to make the argument at any given moment in time, whatever's feasible for them. When a Bitcoin Core developer stood on stage and said, "Use PayPal," I was done. I'm end of story. Your project.
That's insane.
I'm sick of you.
That's right.
And I would now not the leader I'm looking for.
Remember when the blocks?
This is not your cryptocurrency. I'm done.
Remember when transactions were getting stuck because if you would send a transaction on the BTC network and you didn't send a large enough fee back when the fees were going crazy, they would get stuck, and then you could go to a transaction accelerator and pay with a credit card to speed up your Bitcoin BTC transaction.
Well, now you can do it with Bitcoin Cash. They don't need it anymore, but I don't want to paint it as though the BTC network. The BTC network is vacant enough at this point.
It's fragile.
There's few enough people are using the BTC network that we don't have to worry about the problems that we had in 2017. But the unenviable position that the BTC network is in is that it is still not ready.
Still broken.
For what happened in 2017.
That's right. At any given moment, the blocks could fill up again, and the same problem would crop its ugly head. That's right. And then everyone's just not going to. I mean, but people already know that that's going to happen. But like Ian pointed out, and you guys talked about, this is going to continue to happen anyway because they want it to happen. Some of this is engineered by their own people, right? They don't mind the fees being high. They like this idea of having a fee market and people having to fight over which transactions are going to be added to the block.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, isn't that great? The miners make more money. And look, I mean, the people who are in the gold and silver industry, they're not going to ship you your gold for free. They're not going to give you they're not going to sell you your gold and silver for no commission. They want all of those. They want the friction that's in the precious metals marketplace.
Right.
They're calling BTC digital gold, and that's what we called it. You know, Free Talk Live, when we began talking about BTC back in 2010, 2011, we were using terminology like digital gold in order to describe it. However, I think that terminology stuck a little too much, and now people believe that you can hold this digital asset, and it's just going to continue to accrue in value because it's a digital asset. And that's not why it increased in value in 2017. It increased in value in 2017 because it was a doorway through which people could participate in the ICO marketplace. People had to buy Bitcoin in order to buy whatever the other things were. Ethereum, these sorts of things in order to participate in the ICOs. And when there's another door, at some point or another, people are going to take the door that swings most easily.
Right. So true. Sterlin, anything else you want to share with our audience here?
No, just want to let everybody know to continue checking us out at Bitcoin.com. Check out our news page. We're continuously updating with new news in the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem. Yep. And actually the Bitcoin ecosystem as well we keep track of, and it's monitored, and we have all kinds of fresh information coming in.
Watch the YouTube channel, too.
Oh, yeah, you definitely got to check out the YouTube. And Roger's been constantly releasing really great educational videos on what we're doing in the Bitcoin Cash Network, along with one of our developers, Gabriel Cordona. So that's highly recommended at youtube.bitcoin.com.
You guys also have a series of podcasts that I've been talking with the producer, Matt Aaron, about. I got to meet him here. And, I've been working on, slowly, getting them on the Liberty Radio Network. There was a couple technical issues we had to iron out, and we finally ironed those out right before I came here. And, of course, I can't do that stuff remotely. So hopefully by the time this airs, listeners will be able to tune into LRN.FM and hear all the Bitcoin.com podcasts.
Thank goodness.
As well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Matt does a great job over there. Yeah.
All right. Hey, it's Free Talk Live. I think we're going to pack up the equipment here. We might hang around just to meet people as they're coming out of the main hall. But this Anarchapulco is done. We're calling it. And it was fucking fantastic. So I hope you guys can make it out here next year. We had a bunch of listeners show up and say hi. We even met the daughter of Jet, who has been a long-time listener of the show. That was kind of a cool surprise today. So you never know who's going to walk up to the table and say hello. And it's been a pleasure to meet all of you. If we don't get to say goodbye, we probably won't, because it's so busy. There's so much to do. And, one of the things I said to you, Mark, the other night was this conference, even though there may be as many as 2,500 people here, it definitely seems bigger than last year. It doesn't, at any one moment, it's never busy. Like, there's a couple thousand people here, but the property's so big, everybody's spread out over this whole facility, right? Like this Princess Resort, huge hotel with just I don't know how many acres it is, but it's big. There's a lot of space here. So it's never felt, close to get, like, I can't move around, I can't get through a hallway or something like that. There's always been plenty of space. You can stretch out, and nobody's, like, claustrophobic in here, and everybody's relaxed, and just the vibe has been fantastic. I really can't say any more good things about this. The weather's been great. It hasn't rained a single drop since we've been here. It's great. Check out Anarchapulco.com. I imagine tickets are going to go on sale soon, probably for 2020 once they nail down whatever deals they need to nail down with that. And we will continue to inform you as that goes on. Ian and Mark have been here. It was a great Anarchapulco 2019.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was
kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. You can help by joining the AMP program for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com and getting perks. That's amp.freetalklive.com.